Coming at you from a couple of stools in the low-class studios. This is a feminist and a comedian walk into a bar.
What?
Hi guys, it's your host Jackie, a feminist. Uh, that sighing comes from being a feminist these days. I guess it's good things, but also heavy
But
sighing
who are you
involved with the
sighing at?
news.
At
What a
men?
terrible world it is for women.
You're just sighing at the world?
Just sighing
Are you
in
sighing
general.
at men?
No, I'm just sighing at our culture.
Are you sighing at women?
No.
Are you sighing at the shortcomings
Mostly
of
men.
the feminism movement?
No, mostly sighing it. Men in power who abuse their power, I think is
Make your
what
pie
that sigh
chart.
is.
Does the feminism movement ever
90% men
annoy
in
you?
power who abuse their power, 5% other men, 5% feminists.
All right, at least you give them their fair shake.
Hmm.
I think that's a fine pie breakdown. I think that's why I don't know what my pie would be.
Yeah.
And I'll let your pie reign. Did you just take your teeth out?
Just
Oh, I
taking out
think
my
you got
dentures.
lucky. I think you got lucky. I think the camera was on me. I have it on auto,
Nice.
but I can switch it to manual. If you ever need to take your teeth out again, just tell me.
I'll
I'll
give you a
put it on.
little. What's our little sign for?
Well, we
I gotta
can't do
take
it
my
on air.
teeth
Then
out.
people will know. Then
Oh.
you'll say zebra, and people will be like, "Oh, she's taking her teeth
That's
out."
my safe word.
I think you still did it like loud. I think they still heard the gross
I mean,
saliva
whatever.
noise
The little
in the mic. Why didn't you just leave them in? Just harder to
because
talk.
it's harder to talk.
Tell
and I feel
people
like
about
I'm
your
being
teeth.
kinda
Have we talked
spitty.
about them online or on
No,
the podcast
I don't
yet?
think so. Well, yeah, I think because I made you hand me my retainers one time.
Give them a plug because you like them, right? Enough.
Yeah, Smile Direct Club. I don't even know the name of it. It's adult braces, but it's
This
not
is this
like
is a
Invisalign where you have to go in to
Yeah.
a doctor regularly. Basically, on my 31st birthday, this was my treat to myself. In March, I went to their office in Chicago, and they took like photos of my teeth all around my mouth, and like it's so cool, like the 3D imagery, the X-ray, everything. Like it's not an X-ray. I shouldn't say that. That's not safe. But then they basically
not
shipped.
safe, or you mean like you don't think that it's an actual X-ray? You think it's something that you can't remember the name of? Is that what you mean?
Right. It's not an actual X-ray, and to say it's an X-ray is probably not good for their liability purposes, right? Like it's fake news.
Fakeness.
But then they send your not impressions, but like the imagery they've taken of your mouth all the way around. It's like a wand that they stick around your mouth. They're taking photos. They make an impression of your teeth, and then they come up with a plan for you. So my plan was 9 months because I had some jacked teeth.
It was pretty
As a
gross.
result of it was not gross. Stop
That's why
it.
I married
your teeth
you.
are disgusting,
My
and
teeth
you're
are
like,
fine. That's why I
your
married
teeth
you
ain't
with
to
your.
make facts.
When did you get your teeth
You have
in?
like buck teeth.
When did you get? I do not have buck
In fact,
teeth.
the illustration that was made for this podcast, the guy gave you buck teeth, and you were so offended.
Because I don't have buck teeth. That guy went too far. Everything else with the drawing, I'm fine.
So I had a 9-month plan, and I'm on week 1 of month 8. So basically, they mail you these like Invisalign.
But my point is, when
type,
did
like,
you? So you
plastic
got him in
aligners.
March,
Yeah, like
and we
maybe
got
the month
married in
after,
October.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you call buy low, sell high.
Oh my god.
I'm putting into this. It's like
Anyway, I just
marrying
read
you is
an-
like
I read,
fixing up an old car. I've been dropping mad
You
weight.
have been dropping a lot of weight. Thank goodness.
See?
My
I'm working
commitment
on
for
it.
marriage paid off. You know, a friend of mine who listens to this podcast was like, "It took me a while to get used to your vibe." I was like, "Oh, we're kind of mean to each other, but it's totally out of love."
It only lasts for about a half hour to 2 days after the recording. Cools down.
Until it's time to record again.
But
I
that's
love
how guys
these
like
all
me get good women, though.
By being mean to us, that's awful, Justin.
No. By just you got to find like a slight defect.
Oh my god. This is like the most offensive you've been straight out the gate. I'm beautiful and have been beautiful even with my weird teeth.
Totally. On the inside, totally.
No, I thought they were beautiful beforehand. Now I wish I'd never done it so you would have just had to look at my weird teeth for the rest of your life. Like I feel
Fine. But also, I'm getting.
and you're balding. God, I really got the
Whoa.
Anyway,
I am
wait,
not
wait.
shy about admitting to my hat game is bald
It's
related.
bald related.
As I say on social media, I'm transitioning into hats.
Because your body's changing.
Because my body's changing. Because, see, you can't just. I mean, I did wear baseball caps sometimes, but not really a ton. And And so, you can't just go from like no hats to like I wear an assortment of hats every day.
Hmm.
It just looks weird, right? It's kind of
I
like
don't.
with your
Would people
teeth. I
notice?
mean, if you just got like Jim Jeffries, Jim Jeffries, the comic,
No.
he got like a Comedy Central TV show and he got like new teeth. Like he literally got like his teeth. The camera was like straight up single shot on you for that
Good.
teeth
Reality TV.
takeout. So Jim Jeffries got like just fake teeth.
I'm gonna
What do they
Google
like?
it.
What do they call them? Like caps? No, when
Like crowns?
maybe probably whatever like the meth people get, where they just like throw fake
Yeah.
teeth on. Because he had kind of like jacked up. He's from Australia. He's not British, but that whole European to Australia that shit teeth
Yeah, it's cool.
thing.
They don't care about their weird teeth.
But anyway, so he's
We Americans and our unrealistic beauty standards make them change it.
I don't
Oh, I
know.
can't find any photos of his teeth.
But anyways, he had jacked up teeth, and then he got a show on Comedy Central, and so he got new teeth. But his teeth look like I remember the first time I saw him with the teeth, I was like, Jesus Christ, like you look so different and like kind of disturbing because it's so dramatic. So that's what I'm saying. Like
Crowns always look so big too.
you are slowly moving your teeth back, and so now
It's not as alarming.
no, and it's like someone like losing weight slowly instead of like just getting like liposuction or whatever. Like so that's my point is I'm basically doing to my hat game what you're doing to your mouth game, which is just like I started wearing a lot of baseball caps, especially like the summer was there. Started capping up every couple days.
Mm.
Now I throw in like a fancy straw hat at the end of summer. Now I got some fancy wool hats that I throw in every once in a while. I'll start to wear them at shows, so maybe I can get some pictures thrown up on the interwebs with me in a hat. And I'm just slowly transitioning into like when you see Justin and you see a hat on him, it's now weird, but I'm slowly doing it.
Mm.
And I try to
So you're balding.
yeah, and because hats
You
are
know,
tight.
it's weird as a woman. I feel this need to defend myself about my beauty or
Yeah.
like my non-beauty. Even like it's weird because I feel empowered when I'm like, yeah, I'm not very attractive without makeup. Like I did not wake up like this. A lot of
No.
effort goes into this. See, but as soon as you fucking get on board and talking about it, it is infuriating. And it's like,
But
listen, bitch, you should love me no matter what. And I know you do, but like, I just, again, this is something I hope we solve in feminism is once the playing fields are equal, we won't have to be, I won't feel like I need to be like, no, 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 you can't say it. Only I can say it. And then just be like, yeah, I'm
But
not that
isn't
pretty,
it-
but like, look how fucking smart I am. You know what I mean?
yeah, but like, are you?
'Cause
I
I'm
mean,
really
are
smart.
you attracted? Like, does a guy doing calculus like get you wet?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's just I don't think that's the only problem I have sometimes with like I don't want to say quote
It's
unquote.
your only problem with women?
Well, I don't want to say quote unquote feminism like I don't believe in feminism, but like
Mm-hmm.
of that ideal of like maybe when things are equal, but it's like maybe that will just never be equal. Maybe men and women desire different things in their partners, at least heterosexual men and women.
You mean like you wouldn't be turned on by a woman doing
No.
calculus?
But I do find like I mean your
I guess
personality
it just
traits.
means like
Hold on, let me finish.
the beauty standard needs to be a little more fair.
But it is fair because to me, what I always argue is first of all, I think traits like sense of humor, intelligence, like fucking 100 things, like like even like now in a two income society, like ability to earn, like all those things are just, especially in a society when you're a me. uh, I am an
Number one quality of Jackie Manti, big time earner.
but I think that those
You're
characteristics.
basically making a middle range salary with married to me.
I know it's tight. So,
I'm doing the work of two people.
and I'm doing the work of one beautifully hilarious housewife.
You're like, look, I did the dishes.
I do those dishes fucking tight.
Okay.
Also, I'm a genius. Anyway, so
It is funny though, the double standard now. Like I read things where like women, in feminist magazines where it's like, and the expectation of free domestic labor, that's an issue that feminists are like, that's not fair. And
I
I'm
know,
like,
ladies.
I'm like, wait a fucking minute.
I know, ladies. Preach.
It's funny. Yeah,
I
sometimes
never get respect for my
sometimes
free domestic
feel,
labor.
I feel like a 1950s house husband, or not house husband, just husband, and you're my housewife.
See, but that's different because, like, here's the thing. It's too many things. I got to tie up a couple
Okay.
loose ends. So let me just talk for a couple seconds. So first of all, on that, but our agreement though is that I do make money off comedy. I just would, and I have like side gigs. I just would make more if I was fully
Yeah,
dedicated
totally.
to like a
It's not like
normal
you're just
person job.
flitting about in
So
the
the
house in a
dream is,
robe.
so what we're working together. What's
Mhm.
the phrase? Like, what's always the phrase? I don't know.
Co-parenting.
No, it's nothing like that. It's not. It's more like just like a. Anyways,
I like
but like we're a team unit, you know. And I think when we're our most happy,
Yeah,
that's how we think
totally.
of ourselves. And so my point is like,
Oh yeah,
obviously,
I'm just joshing you.
I'm in like
You pull.
I know, but my point is like I'm in the like I don't like to think of it because like, and I do know like people who, you know, like we know people who are just like losers using art as an excuse for their loserdom.
Totally.
So, but for me, I feel like I am in like the grad school level of
For
comedy.
sure.
So I think I feel fine being a house husband because I'm like, hopefully I'll make enough at some point where you don't have to work, slash, you could pursue art full
My
time. Because
creative
I know you
dreams.
don't
Yeah.
want to be a housewife,
Right.
but you'd like to transition out of
Absolutely
work
not.
that you don't care about.
Yeah.
So that's my point is I would like to give that to you at some point, and I think it's possible. Now, the only slight thing, unlike real grad school, well, fuck, maybe at this point, kind of like real grad school, it's not guaranteed I will earn tons of money in the next like 4 or 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
but we're working towards that. And I'm
Totally.
working towards that. So even though I'm not bringing cash, you see me hustle.
And like,
So that's
and
what
to be fair to you, you do hustle. You work another job. Like, I'm just was joking about the like salary range
no, I
between us,
mean,
but
dude,
like you fucking
obviously,
work your ass off, and I don't want to
no, I know we're
throw you
joking, but
under the
I'm
bus
just
here.
saying for women, like I think you're a different type of woman, meaning like I mean, you're a normal person, but you don't like need material things. And more so you
Right.
don't need material things for status.
I don't want material.
Like you
things for
might want
status.
clothes, but you're not like I need the newest brands because I want to
Absolutely
show them
not.
off at the thing. In fact, you kind of hate
I
that.
hate that.
But you wouldn't want a loser guy, and I don't think any woman
No.
would. So my point is like I think all women, and I'm not saying this women, I'm just saying because you're people. I'm not like trying to be super gendered, but I'm saying like when you're looking for a husband, you want either money or hustle,
Hustle.
not neither.
Right. Totally.
And it's kind of more like kind of what your personality kind of. So like if you want a house in the suburbs, you're like I probably should just get a doctor. And if you're just kind of like I want someone that could maybe help us as a family, then you might do an artist as long as he's like hustling. Like, so you want hustle
Sure.
or earning?
The resentment builds when you don't feel like someone's doing equal weight of the work. And that's complicated sometimes because like my work
or
has
just like equal
a dollar
effort.
sign to it, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, but it's okay because I see you're working your ass off. You do stuff for me to make my creative life easier when I do get the time and chunk out the time for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're making it my path clear so that all that little shit's out of the way so I can go do that. You know what I mean? Dishes are done, podcast set up, like all the stuff is done so that then I can, you know, move on that. Where
Right.
like my time feels very like here's work, here's creative work. It goes together seamlessly because of the work that you're doing.
Right. I think that's important. But anyway, and then the
For
last thing I
sure.
was going to say is like, this goes back to what we were talking before. Like, what I would say again about like maybe there will never be quote unquote equality. I don't think it's equality because it's just natural. Is that yeah, I look for those kind of characteristics in a partner, but when I'm first attracted to you, like in a social setting or on a dating website or however people meet, it's purely physical. And you're saying like for me it's not, and for women it's not. It's like, but I don't think
Oh,
that's.
it is. It is physical. Yeah.
Well, then like,
totally.
what's the difference?
Chemistry.
And my point is like I always tell you this, like
But
beauty.
physical, like I can be attracted to someone doing calculus physically.
But what if they're ugly? But they're like a genius.
Well, it's the same way if someone's ugly doing comedy, I won't be attracted to them the way I was attracted to you.
Because
Like it's chemistry. It's physical.
That's my point though. So why is it?
I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know why you throw the calculus in there because like
Well, because you were just saying why can't you be attracted to me for things other than my beauty? And it's like because no one is attracted to anyone besides. That's what beauty is. It's how you attract people. That's why we call it attraction.
Mm.
Being attractive.
Right.
So yeah, like I'm saying, like, but my point is like, would you rather fuck a stupid, like a stupid hot guy or an ugly smart guy?
Ugly smart guy.
You'd rather just fuck.
Oh.
Even like not a one night stand. It's like he's like your kind of like hookup buddy, maybe every
Oh.
weekend, every couple weekends,
Yeah, I
until
don't
you
know.
find a
No, I think
boyfriend.
a one night stand, yes, but to a hookup buddy, no.
Even if you're literally just texting and hooking up, you're not like even getting dinner beforehand. You don't even have to talk to this
Oh,
guy.
I just don't do that, so I don't
I
know.
know, but go back to college days.
um, no, because
How
I would
many?
still like I was attracted to people who I mean we've still talked. I don't know. That just is not. I don't know. I don't. It's not a fair.
But you definitely you'd rather you're more likely to
If I was
probably
gonna cheat
date.
on you, I would want for the aesthetic beauty.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
totally.
yeah, that's the only
It
reason
would
to
totally
cheat.
be aesthetics.
But I feel like some people cheat. But that's good for me because see, that's my favorite thing though. Like I've always said, like I like yeah, like I don't mind that because I know I'm not like good looking or like the best looking. Especially for you, I think you could definitely do better in the looks department. But I think personality wise, I think I could compete
Oh, dude. Well,
on
that's
any
why I
level.
married you. Is that
But that's my
you're
point.
exactly the type of person for
But
me.
my point is, do you see how that's why that statement doesn't scare me? Because you're basically saying like the way you know you
Oh, it would never last with my Adonis. I'd come back to you.
no, it's more that if you said like, well, I would just want to be with someone who's like fun and funny and who like take care of me and make me feel better and like that would be kind of sexy to me. It's like, "Oh, I thought I was doing that." And so I know I'm not keeping her with my looks, and apparently the stuff I thought I was keeping her with, I'm not doing. But when you're like, oh, I'd like someone that's just like structurally like a fucking statue, beautiful. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I will never have like any kind of idea that I would be fulfilling that for you.
See, and like, I guess why it's just so hard. Women cannot say that. Like, I don't feel like I can say that to you. Like, because it would not
But
be.
here's the caveat. I do agree
Okay.
that men are more physical than women, and that's not going to change. But why I think we're more equal than we think, and why this isn't like a pressing issue in our society, is because men have vast, a vast array of physical interests. And like, sure, like your standard like supermodel build, like I think all men will find that somewhat attractive. But the same way, like you'll find all Channing Tatum's attractive. But again, like if you had your choice of like 100 men and you could pick any, he might not make your top 100 because he's just too kind of plain
Yeah.
or something. He's just, and that's the same way. Like I think a lot of guys will be like, oh yeah, like I'm like so old, I don't even know. Like just like pop stars, supermodels are almost like pop stars. So they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, she's no Pam Anderson, but I'm like, that's not who. She's not hot. Like, but you know, so or I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go Taylor Swift or Katy Perry. Like they like. I think all men would
Oh,
be
they're
like.
feuding right now.
I think all men would be like, oh yeah, that's very good looking. But I'm sure there's so many men that would like want, you know, big, skinny, all different hair colors, eye colors, whatever. I've heard men be like, oh, like I think like I actually and like your teeth really weren't that bad. Let's truce it up on the but like an actual gap tooth, like
Some people find it sexy.
I find it really distracting. I hate like it just find it
Aw,
really
I think they're
distracting. I wouldn't
cute.
even call it ugly. It distracts me. But yeah, some people love it. So that's my point. Like something that even could be considered like a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
Some men are like tight, you know, like I don't know. So that's my point. Is like I think the kind of beauty gap.
I like a little flaw. Puts you in my league.
I said that to start off the podcast. Just because I called it fixer upper. Just
No,
because I can.
it's the way you say it. There is a difference.
Yeah, because I'm trying to
Especially,
say it in a funny way.
You're leading the podcast with she's a fixer upper.
But I don't say that to you off air. I'm clearly trying to be funny and use like funny terms. Fixer upper, bargain bin, got a little flaw on it,
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
okay.
I'm flipping this house and moving on.
But I'm not flipping it.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
flipping
that's
my
what,
teeth,
because,
getting a divorce.
see, our
and
thing is like
finding Channing Tatum.
our thing is
smart and funny.
he's neither of those things. But what's that one show? You watch all those HGTV shows.
Yeah.
Like Flip It or Keep It or something like that. Fix it or flop it. Maybe it's like fix it or flip it or something. Like basically like they fix up the house and then once the house is fixed, they decide whether to sell it or to stay
Or
living
like,
in it.
oh,
Because it's like list it or leave it?
List it or leave it.
Something like that.
Or no, leave it is leaving it is listing it. I don't
Love
know.
it
But
or
yeah,
list
I know
it.
what
I
you're
think it's
talking
love it or list it.
about. Yes, that's it.
Anyway, so that's what you could. That would be what I'm doing with you. But I'm loving
That's
it.
what,
I'm choosing a. I would never list you, boo.
All
New
right,
upstairs, and I'm happy.
and you're losing. Well, we're
Yeah.
not that mean to each
Well,
other,
that's the
guys.
thing. I mean, there's so many things we talk. We should move on because
And
this isn't
wait,
even
hold
a
on. I
topic.
will just
But
say, I just think that conversation though is really interesting because, and like, cool to have on air
yeah,
because it shows how we do talk to each other, and like we're so in love with each
how
other.
we talk to each
Well,
other
it's not. I don't.
shittily.
Should no, I.
We have a
I
lot of
think there's
problems.
something super. No, we
No, we're
don't.
very honest.
Yes, and I think there's something really empowering about once you and I started having conversations like that, and like sort of, putting it all on the table, but in a way that was. I mean, I know we talk to each other, especially on this podcast. We're joking and like it's a little brash and like we're saying things that would seem mean out of context, right? But like I know you're obsessed with me. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with you. Like there's something empowering about being a woman who's always sort of worried about what I look like. That you're like, nah, babe, I don't care, because you do. You'll make fun of something of on me physically, but then, which is like minuscule compared to the amount of things that you're like saying about me off air that you love, right? But like,
Yeah.
but there's something empowering about like, oh, he's joking about it, but like he is still obsessed with me. Like, why do I care about it so much? Do you
I
know what I
also
mean? Like, why am I so
also
worried?
I think you look gorgeous with no makeup on.
I know you're so nice.
And you're a redhead too. That's tough to pull off, and I dig
Oh
it.
my god, just stop making fun.
I said that made it a better compliment.
No, it's not, because you just offended all redheads.
Well,
Redheads are beautiful.
some can't pull it off no makeup.
Oh my god.
You
Let's
can
move
pull
on.
it off.
So
No,
today,
hold on. I wanted to say one thing. Can I just say this is the
as long
last
as you're
thing?
not making fun of redheads.
No, I wasn't gonna make fun of redheads. I wasn't. Who cares about the other redheads?
I
Throw them
do.
under the bus, Boo.
No.
You're so hot.
No, I care.
I can't believe you'll disregard a
will-
compliment to stand up for other redheads. They
Hell
wouldn't stand
yeah.
up for you.
Yes, they would. Gingers for life.
Oh, it's because you guys are a bunch of gross weirdos. Yep.
You're so gonna get hate mail.
I
I hope you do.
Send me those fire rod dick pics. Anyways, so remember when we talked about, like a guy being ugly but having like or fat or whatever, but having like other positive attributes or whatever, and like whether you would like that guy or would sleep with that guy or whatever, and like your big thing was like, as long as he was like kind of like put together, like a kind of slovenliness, or like a no care, like maybe you're not ugly but you don't
Ah,
care about your appearance, and maybe you're fat but it's more so that you're like lazy and kind of slovenly, and like all those other kind of
sure.
factors are more important to you than just someone that happens to be a little chubby, but they dress real well and they always smell good and they have a nice apartment. Or someone
Totally.
that's like kind of traditionally good looking, but they're just always
A
kind of in
pig.
gross clothes, or they
Absolutely.
smell bad or whatever. So my point is kind of like, here's another thing I'll say to let people know that I don't hate you or think of you as a hot rod that I got on sale. But the point is, it's like that's what's hot to me. I could have gone my whole life with your teeth the way they are and been completely happy. But it's nice
I'm
to
the one who wanted to
know.
change him.
That's true. But it's nice to know that I'm with someone that's constantly trying to present her best self.
Hmm.
That's the hot part. It's the effort. And that's my whole point. Is like, we're married. You're stuck with me. And you're going to have to pay me alimony if we do break up, because you make more than me. But in spite of that,
Such
in
bullshit.
spite of my dream of alimony, I still go to the gym because like I want to continue to look good for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's part of, I think, probably what is like attractive. It's not like that I'm ever going to be some Adonis, but that I'm always willing, especially as I get older, to like try.
Right, dude. And like I know you're taking care of your body for me.
Yeah.
Not just sexually, but like for longevity, for our life together. Like you want to live a long time because you're enjoying time with me.
Right.
As soon as I die, you'll like eat as much KFC as you want.
No, I'll be
but-
hot for my rebound.
But yeah, no, I think we've talked about that before. It's totally true. Like if you're a bigger guy, but you take care of yourself and you're confident and like have interests and hobbies and like I don't know, there's also this self-deprecating thing that people will do, men especially will do, that's really not attractive. Like cut all that shit out, take care of yourself, make sure dust your house every once in a while before I come over.
Be confident.
I'm gonna be more attracted to you, yes, than like some schluppy like hot guy who smokes a pack a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
Which totally was my college type.
Do the
Okay, so
do the intros.
I'm sipping on real fast a day old Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee mocha.
How is it?
It's fine.
How was it first day?
Fine. I like
So
I
that
prefer frappuccinos.
why did you get that
Speaking
one
of
though?
cappuccinos, topic one. I got this one because I wanted to try it
Ridiculous.
versus frappuccino, but I
Yeah.
like the Starbucks one better. Also, the glass container makes a cool pop noise when you open it.
That's a glass container?
No,
Okay.
frappuccino.
Oh,
What are you
that's what.
sipping on, Justin? Justin Golak with me always.
Yeah.
My husband, a comedian,
Sipping on. I'm back in
non-Adonis.
the high life again. Sipping on a high life. The champagne of beers. So yeah, I got a high life. I'll find my specialty mixer bev, my seasonal mixer
Yeah, you
bev.
need a like holiday.
I'll get that for the next sode.
Okay, cool.
Because yeah, that'll be our last one in town. And then we'll be out of town, but we should still
Yeah,
have
go through the
regular
schedule.
episodes. We should have one road sode for you, and then we'll be back regular schedule. We'll be back in time to do the third one from now, normal. So we should have one. We should have one more next week, then a road sode, and then we should be back in time for another regular. So, but I'd like to do it the last one before we leave. I'd like to get that seasonal beverage in.
Yep.
So,
And
but
you
I did it, so
can-
I'm high life right now.
You guys go subscribe now to A Feminist and Community Walk into a Bar on wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll show up. All those episodes will just show up automatically into your feed. It's awesome. And then, speaking of, we will be recording soon a bonus episode
Yeah.
for our Patreon subscribers, which, Justin, you do such a good job explaining that.
Patreon.com/LO class, no dash.
dash.
Yeah, Patreon's tight. $1, that $1 level, which is like fucking nothing.
$1 a month.
That gets you all our bonus content, and then we have additional tiers if you want some physical stuff, or some perks like you can share a topic, like you can pick one of the topics we talk about on this podcast, stuff like that, at higher levels, which is tight. But even for just $1, you get those bonus episodes. First one coming up soon, before the end of the month, it'll be up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move in. Oh, no. Just
What?
a minute. Just kidding. Just
What?
a teaser. You can find all of our content
Yeah.
at lowclass.com. lo-class.com.
Woo!
All right, topic 1. So we have to do it because it intersects with
Yeah.
all of our
Let's just
things.
keep it short,
Sure, since
because there's
we had a
too
long
much.
intro.
There's so much to talk about.
I know, but
So
don't
point
don't
us-
I hate when you do.
I'm
Don't
not.
sell it short
I'm
and
not-
like
I'm selling
straight
it
out,
long.
straight out the gate.
I'm just saying it's like we could do a whole episode on it, but then also like I feel it's like a combination of so much to talk about, and also so many people have talked about it. So
Yeah,
just
but
point
I
me
think it's
point
important
me in the
we
specific
can-
directions you want to go.
Well, really, I just want to know. We're talking about Louis C.K.
Yeah.
and the New York Times breaking the story that sort of we've all heard about. Like,
Yeah.
there was always been rumors that he would force women to watch him masturbate, but it was never substantiated, and he would never talk about them saying it's a rumor. And I don't want to get. But it's been proven true. He said it's true. He gave a non-apology apology, and like, no, I guess I'm just wondering what your thoughts on it are, being a comedian, and how if this influences how you think about him as a person who you admire in your art form.
See, but I think that's straight up where a lot of people go wrong, and I
Also.
think that's what's kind of like always. I feel like these questions. I'm not saying you're doing anything different than a lot of people, so it's not necessarily anything you're doing that's crazy wrong or anything. But I think like a lot of people just start on that foot, which is always weird to me.
Why?
Which is the footing of like, oh, someone you looked up to, someone who was like an inspiration, like any kind of that, or even sometimes people throw around hero, any kind of that stuff. I just don't get it, because even with like someone like Cosby, like I liked Cosby. I've cited Cosby as like an influence, but I never looked up to him as a human being. So to me,
You cited his art as an influence.
so that's my point when people talk about
Mhm.
separating the art from the artist.
Yeah.
It's like I separate it totally, meaning the inspiration, the enjoyment, like all of it. I've separated already. Like I separate from the start. Like I don't care about what a person does in their personal life, and that's good or bad. Like to me, if they're a good person, it doesn't make me like the art more. Like I would never like art more because someone's a good person either.
Yeah, but this is art so directly tied to their personal experiences.
I just don't think that's true, and I don't know. Maybe because when you ask me as a comic, you could say maybe the art's tied to their experience, but I don't even know if that's necessarily
Really?
true. But the point is, I'm still. if you're asking how it affects me, how something like a Cosby affects me as a comic.
No, Louis C.K. in particular.
But either way, but that
because
one.
you really liked him and like.
But I would say Cosby had a bigger sphere of influence over me because I was watching him before I started doing comedy. I watched him at a young age. I think it was even more fundamental. So I'm just saying, I'm talking about Cosby, but you could literally draw the exact same things I'm saying, which is like, it's more so I'm looking at this stuff as a fan. I might be looking at it and like laughing at the content, blah blah blah. But there's still like a lot of looking at like
Laughing?
technique and like, like technique and.
Oh, so laughing at not the like misconduct allegations, but the.
No, I'm saying my point is no. I'm saying as a fan, I might be laughing at the art.
Okay.
I might be enjoying it viscerally, and you could say that it's attached to the person, but it's just. I mean, I know what it's like to be creative. It's not necessarily. It is what it is, and it's always part of you, but it's also just what it is as art. That's why I said there's just so much to unpack. I guess it's just like, but that's my kind of thing. Is like, if you're looking up to public figures as heroes or as inspirations for your private life,
There's your problem.
There's your fucking problem. If
Who do you
you're
look
over
up
the
to?
if you're over the age of 12 and you have a hero, there's your problem.
Well, no, I don't think people are looking up to him as a hero. It's that he was sort of this bastion of a consciousness in comedy and in liberal spheres, and just I thought he, that's what people liked him
Kind
for, was
of.
talking about this stuff. So to especially when he kind of reminds me of, you're always saying how you don't like men who call themselves feminists. Like,
Yeah.
he kind of was like that.
But he didn't.
Like
I
he
don't
would have
think he ever
really
called himself
I
a
know,
feminist.
Justin, but like he had really interesting conversations on his show about his own dealings with women and his own prejudices against women. Like the fat episode of Louis. Is it just Louis?
But that's my point. Do you think, as a woman, that those like, do you disregard them now? Why can't those things exist in a person simultaneously?
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I personally think I've like struggled with it a little bit, because I do really like his comedy, and I like his TV shows. I think he's the first to, I don't know, like, again, like that's the episode I always go back to, is that he's on a blind date with a woman who's bigger, and he totally rejects her, and she calls him on it, and they have this really awkward but important discussion about like his prejudices against her being a bigger woman, especially as he's like this dumpy guy, old and bald, right? Like,
No, I know the episode you're talking about. Yeah.
right. But I'm explaining it for anyone who
No, I
hasn't
know.
heard it.
Sorry, I
seen
thought you
it.
gave me a look like.
No.
Like, are you following?
So like I kind of looked at him as like, oh, I love the work you're doing. Thanks for like bringing this stuff
But
to
you
light.
just
And time out.
said it.
Hold
You just
on,
said.
I'm
But
not
real
done.
quick, I'm just saying you just said it. The work he's doing. So that's my point. Is like that work. You could still give someone that work. You could still think about that work. That work could still be on TV, and it could still have that positive impact.
Totally.
And he could still
I
go
don't
to jail or never work again or whatever you want.
I don't
him-
disagree with you, but like what feels like bullshit and like make me feel icky still, because I mean, you and I have talked about this off air. Like I am still like, well, that doesn't discredit the work he has done in these spheres. Like it's interesting, and like it's sort of like essay writing, where it's like talking about things you're going through in your life. And I don't think that discounts the conversations he has. That what feels so icky is that like he only admitted it and apologized when he had to.
But my point is, it's
like,
clear
it
he
just
did
feels
something.
like another abuse of power by a powerful man.
Okay, but
My
again,
90% pie chart.
again, I'll throw that out. And I know I didn't at the beginning, but I'll throw that out now. It's clear that I thought he did it when I heard about it. So #believe her. It's clear
Like
100.
years ago.
But
when you heard about it.
I would say when I heard about it as a rumor, I was like, there's synced up rumors, so I would say I'm like 75% believe her.
Mm-hmm.
Once it came out in an official like news source with names, I was like 100% believe her. But then when he admitted it, and then it's just like, now it's fact. It goes from believe her to straight up fact.
Right.
Now. So it happened. We all know it happened. We all kind of knew it happened before. Would you say like your thing is almost similar? Like, did you 100% believe when it was rumors, or were you like, probably?
I know. Well, that's what I've had to face in myself, because it's like when I heard about these rumors, I believe them, because honestly.
But did you
like
100%, or were you like 90, 80?
I mean, 100%.
Okay. If I'm 75, am I a bad person, or is that still?
No. I don't think so. I just know.
When it was still
I just
that
know
rumor.
what women go through, and like that we all sort of have an experience like that, so it didn't seem off base. And he talks about his weird sexual perversions and like how weird he is. So, yeah, I believed it.
Yeah, no. And I guess my point is like, so it happened. We know it happened, and I just think like, um, it's this thing of like, I don't. Sorry, we were
Can
messing with
you?
the mic, and I couldn't remember what I was gonna say.
It was like falling out.
I know
I
it's
know.
okay.
Am I
It's
disturbing you? Do you want me
no.
to?
It just
Do you
like
want me to fix
I
it?
just didn't want to seem like I was just totally dumb, like to people who had no video of this,
Oh,
just
okay.
to be like, why is he can't think? Um, I don't. I just don't remember what I was saying because I
Sorry.
was just looking at you to make sure you didn't need help. So he. So I 75% thought it was true, then 100% now we know it's true. But like, I fucking don't remember what I was gonna say. Do you remember what we were talking about? I'm
No.
just way off fucking track.
Well, let me just take the conversation this way. I don't know. I feel like there's a reckoning of these types of situations, and like it's clear that my theory is that all of this is coming to a head because Donald Trump was elected president. We saw him, a 13-year-old was taking him to court for rape. He said he grabs women by the pussy. He still got elected president, and people stood by him for so long. It felt like a direct, like, just middle finger to the face for any woman, any victim ever, right? And so you have these liberal women who are like, no more, no fucking more. I'm gonna call out. Like, it's
And
easier.
you had conservative
Honestly,
women who were like, "We're on board."
we're on board. It's honestly, it was easier to stomach and be passive for about a lot of things when there was a progressive family in the White House for the last 8 years. It was like, all this stuff was happening then, and I think we sort of knew like someone needs to say something, but like it's changing, and this is how change happens. It's slow. People are pissed. Like it's like no, now we're going backward, and like these men in power in all it's bipartisan are getting away with this stuff. We're gonna start calling it out.
I know, but it's still like you said. Like I still just don't know. I just feel like I said, I just feel like I never. It's not even to me. I separate art from the artist from the get go, no matter who it is. Like I don't wait for something. If you're waiting for something bad to come out and then you're like, "Can I do this?" Well, then you shouldn't be able. Like you shouldn't do it. Like once if you were always admiring someone in conjunction with their art and then something bad comes out, like you should throw out the baby and the
I
bathwater
mean, but
because you bought in wholly. And but my point is like I never buy in wholly to anybody. Like to me, I just do. I think it's infantile. I think it's a childish thing to 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 think that you should model your life after someone. If anything, like I said, you could be pulling from like career moves or artistic moves, but like
sure, but that doesn't discredit from the fact that these women felt intimidated to say anything because they didn't want to be blackballed in the industry
yeah, but that's a
by a
different
powerful
question. I'm
person.
talking about the point is my point is now like the work is done and out there. Why such a fucking why such a just societal kind of move to just like my point is like
Excommunicate
I
him.
understand okay we're not going to let you do more work because then you because like either you should go, like a lot of these people probably should go to jail or at least go to court civilly or something should happen to him. But a lot of times because of the statute of limitations or because these things are just hard to prove, a lot of times like that's not going to happen. So I understand why we take away his Netflix deal and his management. He lost everything. And I understand why because like we have to punish crimes and sometimes it's the only way to punish crime. So I'm not saying like
Mm-hmm.
he should be left to make more art
Okay.
because regardless of if the art would be good, if it would be meaningful, if it would be powerful, whatever the art would be, the fact is he would be benefiting it from it in a way that feels like a reward and not a punishment. So I get the sacrifice of the art for the justice of the punishment for someone that deserves some sort of punishment for the wrong he has done. But my point is the art that's already been made.
Mm-hmm. Like
What
the movie that got canceled, you mean?
anything? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, HBO took everything down off HBO on demand,
Oh, really?
and it seems like his stuff's still up on Netflix. He had a few specials up on there, so I'm sure you can still find it. But my point is like you said, you like that Fat Girl episode. It meant something to you. You thought it was cool. You thought it started a conversation. Like
Sure.
why like the thing is like does it change that? It's like no, because it's like because
Well,
my point is like but you it. You say it. You say the work. Like, you naturally say the work. And that's my point. Like, when I see an episode like that, I'm like, that's a cool TV show. That's a, like, again, as an artist, I'm like, as an artist, I'm like, that's a cool, interesting way, a funny way to talk about an issue. Whether I talk about that issue or any other issue, that's kind of just like one strategy to talk about an issue that way. I'm like, that's a cool episode. But I'm also like, that's well acted. And like, yeah, even if he did the other things like write, produce, direct, star, like, he did that well. But as an artist, like, I just never was like, Louis, I never felt, and I'm not saying no one did, like your point about other people feeling that, but I just never felt like Louis C.K. is a feminist and Louis C.K. is saying big things. I was just like, this show, which I guess he's a part of, did a thing in a cool way, but it's still, I just never really.
It was more
I
than just
never
his
admired-
shows or the work.
I'm just saying I
like,
never
he
admired
released
him.
Tig Notaro's album and catapulted her to fame. Like, it wasn't just like the
Okay,
things
but
he was
again,
talking
why
about.
is
But
that? Why does that why is that now not?
well, she
a
even
good
said in that New
thing?
York Times article that she felt like that was him covering his ass. Like, I'm not saying it's not a
But
good
in
thing, but like in retrospect,
of course,
it all
it looks
has.
like that, but that doesn't mean that's what it is.
Are you saying though that like, and not to put Louis C.K. I mean, it's a scale of terribleness, but like making someone watch you masturbate and drugging them and raping them are totally on opposite ends, right? But like, how can you say that Bill Cosby's work of saying pull your pants up and being this like moral authority?
Because I
in
always
his
thought that
comedy?
was goofy. I always thought that was goofy.
Yeah, but don't you
'Cause I
see how
didn't
other people
care.
could be like, I just can't watch this anymore because he's such a hypocrite.
That's my point. Yes, if you bought into the character of who he was as a person, then you should throw it all out because you've been duped. I just was never duped.
So is George Carlin
never-
a character of a person?
But that's my point. Why, like, my point is you don't know anything about him. He wasn't public. Like, he wasn't out there telling you to pull your pants up. All his social commentary was in the context of art. It wasn't in the context of, like, I'm making a speech at the NAACP or some shit. It was all in the concept of art and comedy.
So if it's in the context of art and comedy,
But my point is, like, Carlin was incredibly flawed. Like, he was a drug addict. He was a bad husband, a
Totally,
bad father.
I'm
He didn't
not-
commit any crimes. But my point is, I don't care. I never looked up to him. Like, I love George Carlin. As a comic, I
Mhm.
never once thought, like, I want to be like him as a person. Or I bet he's a good person. Like, I don't care. And like I said, it goes the other way. Like, people are like, he seems so nice. He seems so this. Like,
yeah, totally.
like I
get
never
what you're
think
saying.
like,
just-
I'm just never that guy that's like, I want to hear their music because they seem nice. I'm like, if it's dog shit music, I don't care. If it's good music,
yeah,
that's good that you're nice too. I guess congrats on being nice. I don't care.
that's cool. And I don't disagree with you there. I guess it's just like I do notice it's been called out the differences between like do you know like can you name any female like artists or comedians who are like total train wrecks who are kind of admired for being total train wrecks?
Oh, totally. I mean, the
Like
biggest female
Schumer?
comedian that's on right now,
Who?
Schumer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean her TV show is called Trainwreck. I remember reading this
I mean,
really
and
Oh,
in
hold
fairness
on,
to
hold
women,
on.
I don't know if she's ever committed a crime, and like clearly what he did is a crime. So I'm not trying to MRA and like false equivocatize, whatever.
Yeah,
the
they
word.
would say that.
But it's again, I have thought of that of like this is kind of the offense of the moment, meaning like again, like why shouldn't someone like?
It's not an offense at the moment. It's been happening for decades.
But I mean,
and
it's
women
like
are
the hot
finally
offense.
have a voice.
The hot offense to like string people up for. Where my point is like, I mean, if a celebrity gets caught drunk driving, we don't take everything away from them when they could have killed somebody.
Yeah, this just feels different because this is like a watershed moment for our culture where I feel like women finally and victims, not just women, are being believed. And there's a New York Times article that's trying to find women who have been assaulted, right? Like
Okay, but my point is, it's still bullshit because do you feel more, if you're a woman out there, do you feel more safe now?
yes,
Because you shouldn't.
yes,
Because
I do.
the only way you will be hashtag
Don't tell
believe.
me when I should feel safe,
The
Justin.
o-
I do feel more safe knowing
Well,
that it's being
You've been
that it's
duped
being
because the
covered
only
in
reason
a
you'll be
national
the only
publication and that
reason
these men in power are
the
being
ol-
taken down.
exactly, that's my point. The only reason you'll ever be safe is if someone that is famous diddles you. If you get diddled by your just accountant boyfriend, or you get screamed at by just some guy hanging out at the bus stop on the corner, nothing's going to happen because it's not hot news. Hot news is, can we attach a name to it? I mean, I've talked about this before. It needs to be resolved in 72 hours. I mean, and that was the Louis thing. Report about it happening, and then 24 hours later, it was his apology, non-apology, and then 24 hours after that, to conclude the cycle, it was he lost everything. And now you won't hear about it again.
I totally feel better knowing that
If someone
these
famous
articles
fucks
have been,
you
no,
against your
it's
will,
not it at all, Justin.
it will be covered in 5 years.
Nope. I totally disagree with you. I think that just my own personal experiences and knowing how what's the word I'm looking for? Powerless, I guess. Yeah, powerless I've felt in similar situations, or in friends telling me about situations of abuse or harassment. And just there is a feeling as a woman that, like, well, there are going to be no repercussions. How do I reshape my life so I can avoid this person or avoid this memory? Or how can I help the other girl not be put in this situation with this guy? You know, there has not felt like that you would be believed if you told even police sometimes. Like, look at all the rape kits that are not being tested. Like,
okay, but that's my point.
I feel better knowing that there is a cultural movement to call out this.
But my point is, where in this story are the police believing these women? Where in this story
Doesn't matter.
Where in this story are they getting any criminal justice?
Doesn't matter.
No, so things haven't changed.
It is building momentum. I mean, Gal Gadot just said she will not do Wonder Woman if that guy who produces it, who is like a known sexual harasser, isn't allowed on the film. That's huge. You don't think that trickles down into society? Absolutely, it does.
It's just funny. I mean, you use the term. It's exactly the same. Trickle down, just like trickle down economics. It doesn't trickle down.
I mean, I know you're like, you think that, but like, I'm already telling you, in me personally, I feel empowered by these stories.
I'm glad you feel better, but the point is, if something happens to you by someone that's not famous, it will be just as hard as it ever was to get justice.
I don't think that's true.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not happy about it. I think I'm right, but I don't feel good about it. I just want you to know that. I'm not arguing from a place of I feel good about it. I'm just saying I'm not optimistic. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not even saying I'm right. I'm just saying I'm not optimistic about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're right, and I think that this has put a demand on, especially in workplaces, like that you can't act like that anymore.
Who is leading the charge to take these men down? Who? The media. Is there anyone else leading the charge? Any DAs? Any cops?
Why do you think the media is covering this,
because there's big celebrities. It's big news because of clicks. That's my point. If you don't have a clickable story about your sexual abuse, no one will care, just like they didn't care last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, in the 50s. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying it's a completely horrific nightmare thing. I agree with you, it is. I just don't agree with you that it's changing. Nothing's changed. In fact, it's the same as it ever was, meaning that if it's juicy, the media will cover it. And if you get some help from that coverage, well, that's just a bonus. But we just want that ad dollar. That's all we care about.
God, you are so jaded about journalists.
I'm so jaded about just the truth of it.
I don't agree with you at all. And I think that this is, while it's been very hard to like read and watch and like annoying sometimes, the hot takes on all of this, I think it has been so empowering. Just feels like the wrong word. It feels validating, and it feels like, listen, millennials have money now, children of our own. You know, I feel like we feel like adults finally, and we're like, wait a minute, so much is happening that is wrong, and that just can't happen anymore. Like, even just personally, like, you know, a teacher in my hometown who was known for hooking up with students just finally got called out for it a year ago and got caught, even though authorities in the school knew about it 10 years ago. And I really feel like that big push is coming from people of my generation who are now like 10 years older. Like, wait, what the fuck? We're the adults now. This can't happen anymore.
I understand the push, but you make that push and it's not interesting. It ends at the push. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I mean, my point is why do you...
It will continuously be interesting if there are women journalists, if there are people who are who are in charge of the media who think that these are important stories, and they
Do you
are.
think it's a coincidence that this story broke the day his movie was set to premiere in New York? Do you think that's a coincidence?
No, news peg.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
No,
The point was
that's
like,
not
hey
for
ladies,
media dollars,
sorry
Justin.
about
That's
your
a journalism
sorry
term.
about
You don't
your
even know what
bodies,
that
lady.
word is.
Sorry. Yeah, it's when you put on a strap on and fuck the news. No, I'm saying that that's what the media tells women. The women they pretend to care about, they say, sorry about your bodies and your wrongful touchings and your wrongful viewings and all the pain you go through. But if you could really wait till he gets a little more famous, if you could really wait till his premiere date, we can maybe try to help you then. But until then, we don't really care about you. We just kind of care about making sure Budweiser gets 10 million views so they keep putting the lights on.
It's not true at all. If you
It's not untrue.
It's not true.
It's not untrue.
Justin, the Harvey Weinstein story, journalists have chased that story for a decade now. Finally, women felt comfortable enough, victims felt like they would be believed enough to put their name on the record. You didn't believe, you were 75% believing of these rumors about Louis C.K. until a name was put to it. As a journalist, like, you cannot run that story until you get a name. Why do you think these women finally felt comfortable enough to say, yes, Louis C.K. made me watch him masturbate?
That's my point.
It's because the Harvey Weinstein story broke, and they're starting to feel like they will be listening.
Your timeline is what's Fantasyland. What's Fantasyland is your timeline. I think what happened was there's these rumors going around. Anyone could have followed up on those rumors and got names and got a story and did all the stuff the New York Times did. Why did they not? I don't know. No one's talking about Hollywood abuse, by men. I don't think that's a really sexy story. Let's not do it.
Your whole point is that it's celebrity. Celebrity was happening 5 years ago. They would have done it years ago if you're the way you think it's
not sexual assaults by men in power. That's what's hot right now. And so the media will help you if you fit into that mold. Oh. This isn't a condemnation of women. It's condemnation of the media.
I know, and I think you're wrong. I think you're condemning them.
I wish I was.
Wrongly.
I wish I was. I wish I was. No. I have a daughter. I wish I was.
No, I think you're totally wrong on this.
Okay. I mean, welcome to FemComPod. Well, the last thing I'll say, I just wanted to touch on this, and then we can move on, but because it just tied into the thing, like the Cosby thing is like in attaching, like I understand, like I said, I'm not ignorant to these things. Like I think we're having a spirited debate, but I think we're attacking branch issues and not root issues. Sure. I think on the root issues we agree, right? He 100% did it. We came on knowing he did it around the same time, maybe with like a 10 to 15% difference in surety, but we were both on board with him doing it at the same time. We're both conflicted about what that means for his art, but we both agree there should be punishment. We both think what he did was wrong. We both believe the women. And we both think that women should be protected more in regards to sexual assault or any sort of sexual harassment. I think we both agree with that. You're a feminist. I'm an ally. I think we're doing the work. And I understand why it's harder with CK, because he, quote unquote, helped women and then his crimes were directly against women. So it's harder to reconcile those things. But I look at someone like a Cosby and I just think not about what he said. Again, just about the art. Like, again, everyone talks about like a black doctor and a black lawyer having kids in a nice house in a sitcom was important when it happened. And so to me, it's like, I think someone can want to facilitate advancement of their race while also disrespecting women to a violent degree. So my point is, it's like that Chappelle joke. I think that's why that Chappelle joke was so good about the superhero, that he saves lives, but he also rapes a little. And like he had that joke in his special, and it was kind of like, it was this whole, he did this big callback to it, basically kind of like Cosby. Like, he did all these great things for black people.
So he's not a superhero.
But he raped a little bit. But his joke is like the idea of like, what if there was this superhero that saved lives, but he had to like rape a little bit to get his like superpowers.
You think that's okay? I don't get it. I
No,
don't
the
understand what you're
joke is
saying.
not that it's okay per se, but that it's like it's tough to deal with that. And I think to me that was him examining the whole artist separation thing. And that's my point is like we can send like my point is Cosby committed crimes. We can send him to jail, we can civilly sue him, we can take away his income because someone that does that doesn't deserve income. They don't deserve to be rewarded. I agree with that. But we can't take away the good things he did. And my point is that most people have good and bad, and they can really swing. It can be a little good and a lot of bad, or it can be a lot of good, but the bad you do is real bad. It's not just fucking road rage, it's rape or whatever. I'm saying those levels, those pie charts are different in everybody, different in every situation, but I think people can do good things and bad things. And they should still be punished for their bad. I don't think the good erases the bad.
Raping this, I just.
I'm not saying the good erases the bad. I'm just saying the good is the good and the bad is the bad. That's the best way to put it. It's not about erasure. I'm just saying though, I just don't know why. I think that Louis C.K. can give opportunities to women not to cover his tracks. I think he can do it because he genuinely wants to help them. And then I think he can have this sexual side that goes, I want to hurt them sexually. But once I come and I'm not thinking about sex, I want to help them career-wise. And my point is, no, of course that does not erase the things he did. And it doesn't mean his punishment for those things should be any less. Not at all. But that's when people say, how can you watch that? Well, because that is this, and that should be handled as that is handled, and this should be handled as this is handled. Comedy show and it's funny, I'll laugh at it. And if it's a rape and it's proven, I'll send him to jail. And I don't know how those can't exist in other people. And I think it's because they buy into liking a person and that being a prerequisite for liking the art. And like I said, if you're older than 12, I think that's silly.
Okay, cool. Is that your? I have final thoughts.
Yeah, you can final
Okay.
thought now.
So
Don't say it like that.
I'm just making sure. I just want to know. I don't want to be interrupted.
That still might happen.
Okay, I don't disagree with you that this is a complicated conversation that we're having, right? And like, what I've struggled with personally is like, no, I feel like fuck the superhero acts because what he did is the
I kind of
worst.
butchered the joke a little.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well, it's a joke that lasts literally the whole special. Like he makes this superhero joke and then he does a callback to Cosby like at the end. It's fucking genius.
It's good.
Just
yeah.
from a technical level. So it's not like I butchered it because I'm not funny.
I
It was
guess
just
I'm
a hard
saying
joke to summarize.
there are very complicated, and watching the discussion about Louis C.K. and the feminist publications and women I know, there's been a lot of like, boy, bye, Louis C.K.'s out. And I totally get that reaction. I don't think it's fair because I think this is a more complicated discussion. And honestly, yes, and we all see, I have traces of those kinds of stories in my life. All of us women do, right? Hashtag me too. There is a difference between his masturbating in front of someone and drugging someone and raping them by Bill Cosby, right? Here's where I think the thing with feminism is when I get upset with feminists, I always see why it's happening, and that I just have so much empathy for it because I think that this rage where it's like, well, get the fuck out. Get out. You're not allowed here anymore. Like, you can't, you know what I mean, without seeing the whole human, comes from the fact that, like, that's how we feel we're treated. We feel very one-dimensionalized. It feels like you have to sort of maintain a certain veneer, or if you're too much of one thing, that's what you become. Whereas I think men, especially celebrity men, are sort of afforded this more multidimensional scope of their lives, and like, oh, he made mistakes, but look at his genius artwork. Whereas I once read a really interesting comparison of the way the media covered Kurt Cobain's overdose death and Amy Winehouse's overdose death. Now, Amy Winehouse, whatever you think about her music, like, she's didn't institute a whole new genre of music like grunge, right? But like, he was heralded as this hero who just had, just artistic demons and blah blah blah, and like, hers was very sort of one-sided reporting on her alcoholism and how it destroyed her, and she was just the language that was used was just so different from like mythologizing him and then her sort of being, I mean, look at Whitney Houston, just a drug addict, nobody by the end, right? Like the discussion of it, I think, is
She
very
kind of was though.
totally, but like
I think Bobby Brown would have got the same coverage.
anyway,
Just
so
for some reason, you can't
well,
kill
because
Bobby
they're
Brown.
black.
That's probably fair.
That's they are an other, and white men are afforded a whole a whole dynamic scope of a personhood.
They're just because
right?
they're so tight.
Oh, jeez. But like, so I think that is where a lot of this anger is coming from, where it's like, get out. You're not here anymore. We're not allowed to be multidimensional people. You made one fuck up. You get out.
That's super fair. That's a fair point for sure.
And that's something I wish we could solve, because it's like, that's not fair when it's done to us. I don't know if it's fair here. I don't know. I get it.
But that's the
I
point.
understand
Is
why
like,
we want him
but
out.
that's the point. I mean, that's again, if we could like kind of come back, you know, like I thought it was fun what we did in the first in topic, the appendix topic, or what do you call it? No, what's the part of prelog topic? About like why we fight, but why we love, and that's my point. Is like, even though we fight, like that's why I love you, because I think you're so smart and so whatever. And my point is I don't mind boy bye. I don't mind anger. I think that all good, intelligent discussions start from anger. I mean, that's get to where we are. But my point is, but the action needs to be rooted in reason. And so that's kind of my point, is where is the voice that says what you just said? Where is the voice that says, look, I know why you're mad, but true equality is letting men be multidimensional and working to get us also multidimensional instead of bringing men down to our level, and now we're both equal in the basement. Let's
right.
move up.
Again, there is a difference between Harvey Weinstein and Louis C.K.
Totally.
Like, I'm not. I just.
No, I understand.
This
I
is
don't
why
think anyone doubts that.
I know, but this is again why it's so heavy, because it's like, oh my God, I'm not apologizing for what he did. I am not defending what he did.
I don't think anyone thinks you are. That's my point.
There are.
Okay, but my point is, but fuck them. That's my point. Fuck them.
Justin, that's why I'm here saying this.
Okay, that's my point. But you're not. Now you're backing off it.
I'm
don't
not
back
backing off of it.
But that's why. But that's why the dark side wins.
God.
Is because people
I'm allowed
that have.
To say something you disagree with. And
I'm not saying
it's
not about you disagreeing. It's like people that don't agree with you don't deserve your explanation.
Listen, I guess I didn't want to be interrupted for this reason. Like I
didn't interrupt you. We started a new talk.
I think that there is. How do we move these conversations forward? Again, like I said, I disagree with you. I think it's creating a movement in women and voices for women that we've never had before. It's exciting and it's great. We cannot now become what's the quote? Using the tools of the master's house. We cannot become now we can't do.
But that is happening.
I think you got to give it some time. There's anger right now.
I don't think that's wise, because then you give it time and then it just is. It's tough to put the toothpaste back in. What scares me? It doesn't scare me. What scares me is that those people, men and women, mostly it's men just trying to be like, I'm good, but they're still saying it. And the men and the women that just anger, they conversation. There's no let them be angry, they'll figure it out. They're angry, they're mean people, and they're not usually very intelligent. And my point is intelligent people like you that have the right point, that say justice is right, dispensing justice is fair. Let's do that. But also, let's elevate women instead of bringing down men. Because if we bring down men, then we're both in the basement together, and that's not the equality I want. I want the equality of a spot at the higher table, not a new table at the bottom where everyone sits. Let me just finish. And I'm just saying, what scares me the most, there's always going to be dumb, angry, yelling idiots on left, on the right, about any issue. What scares me as a liberal is that smart people like you with good points and reasoned views have to always say, I get it, guys, or you just need some time to settle. And they don't, and they will steal the conversation, and you know where you'll be thrown. You'll be that. You'll be, she's just one of those MRA women, Jackie Manti. She's just one of those MRA rape apologists. I mean, you know how easy it is to get slapped with the rape apologist sticker now? You could get that. And instead of being like, instead of trying to to kind of placate them so you don't, and then just sneak in your well-reasoned opinions.
Yeah,
You should be
well,
going at
Justin,
them too.
I get it. I get what you're saying, but like what you don't understand is something that I do about this pain where that's coming from, and that deserves some room to breathe.
Okay, but my point is you have that pain in you, don't you?
Yeah.
And you're still able to say what you say. So it's not an excuse. And it's an excuse of the dumb
Okay.
and the weak.
Okay, well then, so to move it forward, instead of calling them dumb, because I do not think they're dumb and weak. I think they're survivors, Justin, and they're fucking
Okay.
mad. Shut up. We're all survivors. We're fucking surviving this. Stop. First thing, stop making generalizations, right? I was just telling you, I saw GQ posted an article on Facebook today that said, I'm going to butcher it, but basically the headline was, why are all men in comedy terrible? And it was like not tongue in cheek. It was like, hey, this industry has no HR department. There's alcoholism and alcoholics and drugs, and men are in charge. There's more men than women in the same. It just totally generalized all men in comedy. I find that fucking offensive. My husband's in comedy. He's not a monster. Like, and I think
Not in that way.
well, and I just think those broad brushstroke generalizations are damning. And that's what we're fighting against. It's what we don't want to be done to have done to us. And it really is like a fight. It's like, how do you rise above and not stoop to that level? Do not generalize men. I don't think men are the problem. I think a toxic masculinity culture is our problem. It's not men. How do men learn to act like that? With as much, so fucking, talking about my own fucking rape and painful experiences I had growing up with molestation implies it's a family member, but like by a classmate. Like, so just to be clear, like, none of that. But like, all these weird sexual experiences where someone forced themselves onto me and you don't really know how to talk about it as women. Or what's even more telling now as an adult is that the fact that so many of us girls knew about this one classmate doing things, but we knew enough at 15 not to tell a fucking adult because nothing good was going to happen. That's a problem.
Exactly. That's my point. Is that the problem, or is it?
But my point, what I was getting at was that.
But isn't that the problem? To me, Harvey Weinstein's not the problem. He's the result of the problem.
Right, but how do we change the problem?
I don't know, but my point is, what we do is we fire him and we go like, problem solved. Hollywood's cleaned up. And it's like Hollywood's not the problem.
No, you nailed it on the head before. Is totally re-altering our sexual education system. In this fucking country.
I mean, I think that's at least part of it.
About science.
I don't think it's a silver bullet, but that's.
No, but
I think
that's
it's
a huge
big
part of it. And
crater.
And I've talked about it here on this podcast that I think there needs to be a curriculum for girls about what being a feminist is. Like, it's more than just something you buy and like have a cute little fight the patriarchy kitten calendar. Like, what does that mean?
Can I tell you something product-wise that I thought?
Were you going to buy me that for Christmas? Because I totally want it.
No, it's tell me if this annoys you a little bit. This woman, I just watched an episode of Shark Tank, and this woman was on it, and she said, she's like, her whole thing was she wanted to teach girls how to code. And they have all these kind of like,
awesome.
You have all these toys now that are like drones and robots, and they're not, girly enough. So she wanted something like a toy girls would be interested in that also had like a coding element. So which I think is fine. Because if a girl is into drones and robots, there's available.
Or a boy that was into a girly thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Shut up. Continue. Finish your story.
Though.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. See, that's why.
No, continue because I want to make my point and move on.
But anyway, so it was basically just this dial you put on a Segway and you could program the Segway. It was kind of a cool idea. I don't remember if she got an investor or not. But the point is, the name of the product was Smart Girls. Mm-hmm. And it was spelled smart.
With a G or a Z?
Gurlz. And I was like, if your demo is girls that are into coding, why use like the Bratz style spelling? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're also grammar nerds. We want it spelled correctly.
I'm not even, but right? Isn't that kind of weird? Like,
oh, they're just selling it.
I know, but it still seemed kind of gross to me.
I think, okay,
like,
so
girls can code, but they can't do everything right because they're still girls. They're still going to want to spell things with Z's.
That's
and
not it. You know what's gross about it is the like, but we're girls. Like,
I
with a
guess it was
U.
more just
Like,
the
just
spelling, and
stop it.
because I don't mind spell brats with a Z or yeah, market it, but
Yeah,
like
but when it's about science and coding,
yeah,
yeah, and like about intelligence, yeah,
because to
sure.
me that is like a soft.
Also, why's it gotta be a girl? Like, there might be boys who want to
Well,
program
now
the
we're getting
Segway
in a
for the
whole
doll.
separate topic, but the point is, it's like to me that's how we get to where we are. Now, this is for sure an exaggeration, but it is something that does annoy me because I do just feel this is how we get like the creationist museum. It's like just enough science to make your point and then a lot of bullshit. And I feel like that's kind of products like this. Like, look, if you want to code, you need to know how to spell girls too. If you want to be smart, you got to be smart. You can't be like, you can't pull from this study to prove global warming's not right, even though 99% of scientists believe it or whatever. You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of like this product. It's just like if you're going to be smart, just be smart. If you want to be a girl that's codes when all the other girls are playing hopscotch, you should also want a product where the letters are spelled right. And you, as a product developer, if you really want to be a service to that demo of girls, you should spell the goddamn thing right.
Yeah, totally. They needed a better strategy team on that copywriting naming team. Hello.
Plus, you can still make
Hold
it
on.
cute. That's my whole point. I'm not against the femininity at all. Call it cute
Right.
IQ or something like that.
Right.
Spelled right.
Look at you,
You
little
know?
copywriter. Yeah.
Because the name of their program was called shit. They had like proprietary software that they used to program it. It's called something like Sugar Code. Maybe something like that. It was spelled right. And it had like a cutesy name, like it's sugar. I think it was Sugar Code. Something like that.
Sure.
So and it was spelled right. So I'm like, yeah, make it cutesy. Make this thing like you're a nerd, but you don't have to be a nerd. It's like, no, I want my nerds to be nerds. If you're a doctor, I want you to know science. I don't want you to be like, I'm a doctor, but I also
like,
believe
yeah,
in
doesn't
crystals.
that sort of
like that's
the
what we're
whole
producing with
the whole
these
fight
toys.
is against like, oh well, girls, it's not cute when you're smart. Like
Right.
you would be directly flying in the face of that. Of like, yeah, no, it's cool to be smart, and we can be girly with it too.
Yeah. That's why I would rather like
You can be both.
I would rather that's why I'd rather, and I know it's a boy, but I would rather like an Elon Musk, where it's like I'm just a genius and that's what makes me fucking cool. Instead of like, well, you're a genius, but you can spell words cutesy. It's like, no, that's how we get the science of creationism. Is it's just someone going like, it's science, but it's like with my spin on it, Christians. Don't worry. The same way it's like, it's coding, but it's with a cute
Sure,
skirt
I guess
on
that's
it,
what
boys.
I mean. Yeah, like
it's
it's that
just,
you're still that like double like life that you have to lead as a girl, whereas
we
like
want-
boys can be multifaceted and be like, no, I'm just smart, but also that doesn't negate all the rest of my personhood, right? Where like girls, well, I need to prove that I'm all of these things at once, and like I can be all the things at once. So here I'm a smart girl. Okay, so my just final point is like, in addition to the sex ed, like,
Can
I
I
think
do a
having
final
some
point?
no, you have had so many points. It's my topic. I'm the host. So I would love to see like a curriculum for high school girls about what feminism is. What is the line of like, reading that New York Times article, it just felt so familiar. Just like, the women who were like, we were like screaming and laughing because we didn't know what to do, and then we just left, and then like, well, I didn't want to get off the phone because it's awkward. Women do this. I just wrote something on Mildly Depressed about how like I remember yeah, plug mildlydepressed.com. An Uber driver took me home, and he started telling me about his erotica fiction that he writes. It's middle of the night. I don't know where I am really. Like I'm just got in this stranger's car. Don't know how the lock system. Like he totally inappropriate. Should not have been talking about this stuff about his weird ass erotica. Telling me.
What'd you star rate him?
Hold on, I'll get there. So, but I was really shocked in my reaction instead of being like, fuck you, like, let me out of the car. Like, this is so inappropriate. I can't believe you're talking. Like, that you're in control of the situation. Like, this feels predatory that you're telling me sexual fantasies while you're driving me home. That is not. I went into this like total survival mode, and it's what women do and what we've been taught to do. The easiest way for me to survive in that situation is to flatter him and placate him so I get home and can get out of the car. So I was like, oh, interesting. Not like totally like, ooh, tell me more. Like enough, there's this line that I immediately knew how to walk on where I'm like, do not encourage him. You're not saying like, ooh, I want you to try it on me. Like you can't go too far, but you also cannot like step on him because he's in control, he's in charge, and to survive this, I mean, I don't that those are big words. I don't know what he maybe was just a nerd telling me, trying to talk about his stuff. But like
Right.
still
Did
like
he have a ponytail?
I don't remember Justin, but still
If
it
he had a
felt
ponytail,
hold
you're
on,
probably
it
safe.
felt very threatening. Okay, and so as soon as I got out of the car, I was like, fuck that. Like 1 star, reported him, but like. In the moment, I didn't even think to stop the car. It was just like, oh, interesting. And so I love writing too, trying to like keep the conversation nice and talk. That guy has no idea that he made me super uncomfortable. And then so like it's just it's relatable where it's like, why didn't you just leave the room? Why didn't you just leave the car? Why didn't you do all these things? It's like there is such a conversation that we don't have as women with each other and with the world about like surviving these situations, and that's really sort of where your head goes. Like if someone is on the other line of the phone, it's fucking awkward. Okay, what are you gonna do? Oh, okay, just listen, and then like hang up, and you're like, that was fucking weird. I get it. I so get it. And like if we can talk about beyond, like I feel like my feminist classes and like studies and groups, we never really had those kinds of conversations about real world applications of feminism and how to stand up for ourselves, what to do in that situation. Because I'm not saying I did the wrong thing in that situation. I was trying to survive, right? But like, how do I then deal with the guilt and shame of like, why didn't you say something to that guy? Like, because I was in his car, I was locked in his car. Like, why do I have to carry the brunt of this? Like things where we talk about that in a more than just a think piece kind of way.
No, that's fair. I'd be for that class. I mean, we got Grubhub now. Why do we need home ec still?
Totally.
Plug in the feminism class there.
I don't know. I learned how to tie a tie in home ec and sign a check. Oh no, I guess I learned how to sign a check a lot
How to
earlier.
sign a check? You sign on a line. How do you have to learn that?
No, listen, there are many elements to a check that are complicated, but I learned that in a grade school. I
maybe for a
remember
girl.
directly learning about it. I'm a smart girls, thank you.
All
right, let's move on.
No,
Topic
real
two.
quick. Well, I was just gonna say, like, yeah.
Can't a woman have the last word?
No, you know what? It's whoever's topic it is, the other person's supposed to have the last word.
All right.
Just so you know.
So it's my topic, your topic.
I was just gonna say that I agree with you, but the reason to my original point is like, yeah, that story is horrific, but I mean, the needle hasn't moved. It's just he's not famous, so no one would care. But if he was famous,
Uber cares.
do you think that guy got fired?
Probably got a strongly worded email.
Probably. Anyways, the last thing I want to say, and this is about Cosby again, but again, you could easily, I know we're talking about CK, but it's the same. I could say that it would be the same thing. There's differences in influence and what I like about them and what I don't like, but this is gonna ring the same. It's just something I think about more with Cosby, but it would be the same, and I think it would apply to other people who are filmmakers, and the filmmakers they have problems with, and whatever, musicians, and I used to like R. Kelly, and now I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it could apply. Not only does it apply to me for multiple artists, but it could apply to multiple people for multiple different artists in multiple different disciplines. And the thing I always say is too about not wanting to just erase someone it's about like not wanting to blackball them from the zeitgeist. I don't care about blackballing them from the industry so they can't profit once they've committed a crime. I'm talking about this thing about blackballing people from the zeitgeist. Like we just erase what they did, what they're doing, what they would do, their name. And I just think about someone like Cosby, and it's like I took in so much Cosby before even I heard rumors. Because I mean, I'm into Cosby when I'm in middle school, high school. Not only do I not think there's rumors circulating at that point, but definitely not to a child, and definitely now without the internet too. When I was a child and all that shit. Oh, no internet when I was a child. I was so old. But to me, that's kind of, and this isn't a defense of Cosby, but the defense of art from artists. It's like I like Cosby as a comic. I did. We can even say it like that to make it cleaner. I did like him as a comic, and I have things in my act, like stylistic choices, that I directly take from him. Now, I put my own spin on them. I combine them with like 5 other stylistic choices. Like, it's a big mishmash of a lot of my own stuff, about 80 different comics. So it's not like there's this one thing I do that he used to do, but just he's influenced things I do. And it's like you said, I have not raped anybody yet. I'm not a monster.
Yet. Oh my gosh.
I am not a monster.
Say I have not and will not rape someone.
I'm trying my hardest not to. But I'm
Oh
a
my
man,
God.
and it's in me. No.
And you're in comedy, and all men in comedy are terrible.
Exactly.
Hashtag
GQ said it,
GQ.
so you know it's true. There's 6 ways to get flatter abs worked, so I'm guessing this is also true. No fake news there. So my point my point is that comedy is imprinted on my comedy, and I'm not a monster. And if so, my point is like, if there's someone out there who likes me, who is influenced by me, who finds me interesting, finds me entertaining, or anything, and I would say that the thing you're drawing inspiration from, the thing you're drawing entertainment from, the thing you're drawing inspiration from, whatever, is connected back to Bill Cosby. And you shouldn't feel gross about that, because I don't. But it doesn't mean we can't get together over a beer and be like, that motherfucker should be in jail. What he did is gross. What he did is criminal. And we should work for a society where those things can't happen. Or if they do, the person should be able to get help. Right? That's my point about, I don't think it's that hard for those two things to exist.
Yeah.
And that's my point. Like,
what's part of a bigger conversation I think is happening all over, right? With the, like, how can we still love America even though it was built on genocide and the backs of people? Word. I'm just saying, I'm adding to your conversation. You do this.
So that's my point, is like, I just think that you can't erase from the zeitgeist. And I think blackballing someone is okay if we're doing it as a form of punishment. But if we're doing it as some sort of grandstanding, it's not only not possible, but it's flawed in a lot of ways. And that's the point. It's like, that Cosby influence, it's just in society. It's in people you like. I think probably all comics you like probably were influenced by him. And you shouldn't feel gross about that. And I'm sure they don't. And it doesn't mean you can't also feel like this guy is gross. This guy should be in jail. And we should make society better for people that are affected, like the women were affected by him. Or hopefully make it happen to women less. I think those thoughts can all exist in a person. And you shouldn't feel too bad about those thoughts, because to me, like I said, just guilt and just erasing a singular person from the zeitgeist, it doesn't help the lady who had a weird interaction with her Uber driver. It just means that we don't see Bill Cosby anymore. And that's a tree. It's not it's a branch. It's not a root. It's all, and that's why I get annoyed with the media and society. It's all branch, no root. It's always branch. And now in internet media, it's a 72, if we can't prune this branch in 72 hours, well, it's just going to stay on the tree. So, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Topic 2.
Do you think, did you see during the Me Too hashtagging, did you see any women post hashtag Me3? Because that would have been funny.
Why?
You know, you don't remember Me Too, Me3. Come on, that would have been good. Especially if you tell your horrific rape story. Hashtag Me3. Gives a little levity at the end. You know, you had to read 5 paragraphs about a violent rape. Come on, end on a joke. Jesus Christ.
Topic 2.
Topic 2. All right, so we've been already recording for about 3 hours, and I'm getting dizzy with the beer I've been drinking and the lack.
Fantastic discussions, though.
It was worth it, but I was
Let's
planning.
fly through this.
This is about the time I was planning on eating pho.
Yeah.
And my body is starting to shut down because of lack of pho. And I call it pho, not pho, even though, like, it's funny. I had a discussion. I'm like, I say pho. I say gyro. I say pho. And they're like, all right, I don't care. What's your favorite pho place? And I was like, ironically, it's a place called pho. It's like literally spelled F-U-H. And I'm like, I don't care that that's my favorite pho place in Chicago. I still call it pho.
That's hilarious.
And I think I also called pho because I never have to say pho there at pho. Because at pho, they do Chipotle style, so you don't ever really order pho. You just, like, they ask you what kind of protein you want, what kind of veggies.
I have a question. Is it caprese salad or caprese?
I think it's Italian. It's like
Caprese
salad.
That's another one where I'm like,
the
caprese? Like, I say it like with an
dude,
inflection.
It's Italian. That's clearly
caprese.
But I think you could probably get away with that, right? Because it's supposed to be like, well, what's another word? I'm thinking of an Italian word. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
A meatball.
Meatball. All right, so I posted this little video from an interview with our old homeboy John Kasich, our former governor.
From Ohio.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a homeboy, but yeah.
It's just funny because he's such a fucking, it's so funny.
He's such a politician.
Democrats are so dumb. Oh, man, we're this country's so over. It's just funny. Like this is how like
How
the
like on the game he is in that video.
the Republicans are so good at judo. Like
Totally.
they just trick the Democrats at every
Totally.
turn. They here's what they did. They went so racist, so sexist, so xenophobic that they pretty much did that almost, it seems, on purpose. So then they can just draw back on those things that they don't really care about. And then you can be considered a moderate Republican and you can like win over these swing
So
voters.
basically, John Kasich in this video sounds like a progressive.
John
compared
Kasich
to
is not
what
really
we have in the White House.
like
right
John
now.
Kasich has done some weird abortion stuff, but
Yeah.
he's not a big like Bible thumper. He's seems like he's rather
fiscally
progressive on gay
conservative.
rights and stuff. But he also hasn't seen. He's a Scott Walker Republican. Like he's not going to be
Mhm.
like that goon in Alabama waving guns and calling what was that in that Virginia race? The guy kept misgendering that one
On
candidate
purpose.
and like he
Mhm.
said he was like Virginia's #1 homophobe and stuff like that. Like literally like Scott Walker,
And got
John
the
Kasich.
pants beat
These
off
guys
of
will
him, yeah.
never do that stuff, but also they want to get rid of your unions. They want to get rid of like all these things
Totally.
that Democrats worked for in like the 50s and 60s. They want to just gut them. But because they're not just screaming fag on Fox News for 3 hours,
Yeah,
it's
you're like, he
he's
seems
sensible.
okay.
He's
He's
a
a
sensible. He's
sensible.
not sensible. He's just not like a
Totally.
cartoon.
Right.
Like literally, these guys are like cartoons now. Like a cowboy hat and a gun on stage,
Yeah.
raping 14-year-olds. And it's like, well, at least he's not that. It's like no one's that. How is that anyone? So Kasich is a monster. He just is okay if you want to be gay. He's that kind of monster. He's like, oh, you're gay, that's cool, but also I'm a monster, and I want you to get married, and I want you to get a job, and I'm gonna take all your benefits. That's kind of monster I am. But yeah, you can blow whatever cock you want, but I just want all your money.
As long as you're not making babies, you're not.
I just want all
have.
your money, and I don't want a business to ever be inconvenienced for even a half a second. Also, if you're on food stamps, I would slit your throat in the streets at a campaign
No,
rally
it's so
and not
true.
think twice about it.
It's so true how many Democrats now are like George Bush maybe wasn't so bad.
Yeah, he was a straight up war criminal. No bones about it. Straight up
Well, he told you
war criminal.
it's just a monkey paw of George Bush. That's Donald Trump's presidency.
Like, he should have been sodomized in the streets
No,
like Gaddafi.
I would never wish that on someone. That's terrible.
What
Was
about-
Gaddafi
what about-
sodomized on the street?
Yeah, he was like sodomized to death.
Oh no!
You didn't know that? They
That's
have like video of it where
awful.
they're like just dragging his body around,
Jesus,
just shoving stuff in all the stuff.
stop! I did not know that, and that I'm gonna fucking feel terrible.
If he was
for
still
a
alive,
week
he'd have a
now.
Me Too story.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Well, what about if we just did Bush like Saddam? We just put him in like a cave and hung him on grainy
No,
cell
I
phone
just-
video?
I don't want to get into all that. No, I don't agree with that either.
Well, he's a war criminal of those two guys' level. Luckily, it's just like we said, like ISIS, they operate in the society they're given. George W. Bush is lucky he's an American. That's why he should wear the flag lapel, because in any other country, he would be sodomized to death.
Oh my god, stop saying. Oh, do not encourage that.
I'm not. I mean, unless you're like a world
I
leader.
know. I know. It's just I did
Is
not know
there-
that happened, and now I will be upset about this for a week and a half.
But is there any, there's no crime you think that's worth being sodomized to death?
Absolutely not.
I think if you start a war that kills thousands of innocent people on both sides based off a lie because you wanted to send in your billionaire contractor friends to make more money, I would say sodomized to death I'm fine with that.
I
I don't
know,
think that's
I'm
cruel
just
or
not.
unusual
I
for that
don't-
crime. Well, and that's why the evil runs amok because of people like you with your feelings.
Not with my feelings, with my belief that violence begets violence. Oh no. that's
Sometimes it
awful.
ends it, right?
Sure. Just
Sometime-
moving on. What's your question?
It's violence. That's my whole point. I hate war.
I
That's
know
why
you
a
are, but
guy
that's
that
well,
gets
that's
us
something
into a war by lying probably should be sodomized to death so he can't do it again.
No, he should
So-
be put in prison. We have these systems for a reason. He should not be sodomized to death. That's terrible. It's an awful way to die, and it's an awful thing to do to another human being, no matter how fucking terrible they were. No, lock him up in solitary confinement and make his
I
brain
think
go
that's
to mush.
way worse.
I
That's
know.
awful.
I don't want to go into this. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, what is this topic about
I
again?
don't know. It's your topic.
It's a good topic too. It's sad that this podcast is so long that we should probably breeze through it. But basically, in this video, John Kasich, the monster in sheep's clothing, basically said that which this is exciting if it's true. Now, to be honest, he did not cite a poll, and I did not research it. But according to John Kasich, by the next presidential election, millennials and Gen Xers combined as a voting block will be a bigger voting block than baby boomers.
Finally.
Finally. Parents are finally dying.
Oh no.
It's not like they're being sodomized to death.
Oh no.
At least
I
not
knew
all
you were
of them.
gonna go there.
So, my point is, and he sees it as, like something that Republicans should think about. Like they should try to grab these voters because they are the next big voting bloc, and they should start talking to issues that affect them. I was just gonna say, we generally think of every generation is more progressive than the previous generation, right? It's always the grandpa making dinner uncomfortable with his old timey words and his old timey beliefs. Do you think that's 100% true? Do you think millennials and Gen Xers will be more progressive than the baby boomers? And if so, what does that even mean? Because it does seem that there's a lot of millennials and Gen Xers who I think are more quote unquote liberal than their parents and grandparents. But I mean, I have a lot of cousins that are have union jobs and, paid for their own college and would love, student loan forgiveness or some sort of repayment plan that's more flexible, jobs for the college education. And I would say they're probably more liberal than their parents and grandparents on issues of like gay, trans, race, all that stuff. But I also don't think they sometimes care. Here's a better way to say it. They triage it. They go, yeah, black people are equal, but also I need money. I need, programs. I need this other stuff that's more quote unquote traditionally liberal, economically liberal. So I guess the two-part question is the generation that's coming more liberal, and what does that mean? Well, I'm saying Gen X and millennials.
Okay, so not Gen Z, not like
I guess not what's coming.
Days.
What's coming as a voting block, not what's coming as society. So the generation that's coming up is the new voting block.
Millennials.
Are
and
they
Gen
more
X.
liberal? And what does that mean? I.e., what should politicians be focusing on to get millennial and Gen X voters? Do you think?
Well, I guess I don't want to be like, yo, they're more liberal because it's such a 2016
well, that's what I mean. I think
result.
they are, but what does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, I guess I just think the big issues, right? I think that maintaining the LGBT rights that have been fought for and won, I think keeping a woman's right to choose, but finding a way to establish how do we restrict that? Do we restrict it after a certain point? Having a non-emotional, heated conversation.
But it does seem
right?
That seems right. Like it seems like if you're pro-life, meaning you want to ban abortion, it seems like you only got about 8 years, 2 election cycles left to win on that. Because I feel like people that are just pro Roe v. Wade, meaning they might have some misgivings about abortion, but they don't want to ban it. I feel like that number is rising dramatically year after year. And I feel like you just
who are pro Roe v. Wade?
Yeah.
It is, yes.
So my point is now you can still be pro-life, but in about 8 years, you probably can't really be pro-life and win in a lot of places, right? Or especially as a presidential candidate, being pro-life.
Donald Trump just basically won on that.
But
he played into all the feelings and emotions. I mean, he said the most conservative voting bloc.
I think even the dumbest ones knew he was just saying it to get elected. And then I guess he picked Mike Pence, which helped him on that front. But my point is,
what helped? Healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare, and honestly, I think the environment's going to be huge.
That's a good one.
I think the environment. I mean, it's just scary seeing all those. Just how much plastic consumption is sort of destroying things. I think shit's becoming real, and it's becoming real faster than we ever thought it was going to happen, and that's alarming, right? And I just think, especially with Trump's just atrocious thoughts and unscientifically founded opinions on climate change, I feel like in the next election, correcting that course feels like something we all can agree on, and that a lot of people would vote based on, because we want to correct course and fix it so the planet doesn't crumble and we have nothing to tweet about.
I think it's interesting you bring up Trump, because I think that's kind of why he succeeded, and I think someone like him succeeding, I think it's a short con. I don't think it's a long con. I'm not really worried about it like other people are.
Another Donald Trump winning?
Yeah, or we're stuck in tons of Donald Trumps. If it's not Trump, it's Kanye.
No, I mean, look at this most recent election.
But I will say,
Democrats, suburban Democrats.
Yeah, but that's blowback, so it'll blow back the other way. But I think that
I know, but it's just saying that the rules still apply, right? The
Yeah,
blowback is still going to happen.
yeah, okay, fair. But what I would more say is I think what he won on more than anything was basically what I'm saying when you bring up something like Donald Trump being pro-life. I mean, he's out there like, oh yeah, yeah, we'll put the women in jail, sure, yeah, 2 Corinthians or whatever, like, yeah,
Yeah, funeral for the
I've read the
miscarriage.
Bible, tight book, tight, loved it. Like, and he has 3 wives. Like, people know and he's a New York, like, blah, blah, like he's not some kind of like, Southern soft spoken, like he's not some Pence, like
Yeah.
I call my wife mother. He's like, look, I married a hooker from
Worse.
Russia. I'm a psycho. You know what I mean? Like, like I don't think anyone in the Christian right believed he shared their values. But he was like, but I'm going to bring back I mean, he lied this way too, but he focused on, I'm going to do the fucking coal, we're going to do that. I'm going to make these deals with I'm going to keep the immigrants out. And yes, the way he talked about it was racist, but the way he spoke about it to his supporters was because your jobs, we got to secure your jobs and we got to secure all your stuff. So my point is, it was all like economics and deals and making America great again, but great again like a world power of economics and success and all these things. And he kind of, and as far as like the religion,
which would mean their success eventually,
right? But he focused on that, and then when it came to like the social issues, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that too. Yeah, we're gonna jail the women, and the gays are gross, and the blacks steal. Yeah, yeah, that stuff too. But mostly this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, my dream for a liberal candidate would be to do something similar to that, not as psycho, but someone that's like, yeah, of course, like we're gonna help out blacks and women, and of course, like, yeah, I'm not gonna touch abortion rights or gay marriage rights. We've set those in place, so I'm not gonna work on them, but I'll defend them. But now that I've told you those things, I'm gonna talk about the economy now, and I'm gonna talk about like ending endless war and like not only ending it because it's the right thing to do, but like putting that fucking crazy spending into things that help people domestically and that help people in a positive way. And also I'm gonna we're gonna deal with college. I might not make it free, but we'll figure out something. Also healthcare, like Obamacare is good, but it's not perfect. I'm gonna work on that, and like all these things. And then just when people are like, "But what about trans rights?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're totally people too." But yeah, like the same way, like I want him to, not that I want him to brush him off, like I want him to lie, but I want him to be like, yeah, of course, yeah, I'm a Democrat. Trans people, all people are people. He, she, me, whatever you want to be called, I'll call you it. But I'm also not going to dedicate more than 2 minutes in campaign speech to that. I'm going to give you your what's up. You're going to cheer, and I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking about, you know, healthcare reform and shit like that. And that's what I just think that
those bigger picture economic issues.
I think identity politics is dead. I feel like that's a hacky thing to say, but I feel like people on the left are getting tired of it, and people on the right are clearly mad about it.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is when you make it about identity politics, the right's like, all right, see, I told you I can never be a Democrat because they like those insert the blanks too much. And I think that's bad / I'm a bad person. And I think, and it worked okay for a while because at least the left was on board, but I think the left's finally like, yeah, we do like those things too, so I'm not against them, but like, we've made some progress. Let's hold that wall. Let's work on getting us all fucking jobs, and then when we're all fucking rich, then we'll like worry about peeing, And even though sometimes the right brings up the peeing thing in the first place, they do the bill. It's fucking bait, you dummies. Like, I don't know how you can't see it as bait. It takes you off the better issues, the issues that people in the middle of the spectrum care about.
Right, and I think it's possible to hold the wall and keep building the wall, right? Like,
yes.
I think we can still like push for.
But you gotta, I'm kind of tired of. I'm tired of pushing for that for about like 2 more election cycles. I'd like to just hold the wall and make sure we're not all living in fucking boxes in those 8 years.
Sure.
Because then who?
Or that the world is over either from nuclear war or climate change, right?
Yeah. Or it won't matter what it won't fucking matter what bathroom you pee in if oil companies own this fucking country and it's an oligarchy because you just wanted to elect someone, because she was a this or he was a that or this in a way that was cool. It's like,
I think you're right though that the left a lot of the left is getting tired of how just regressive those identity politics conversations have become. Like, it's like something that starts with good intentions and then that just becomes the entire conversation, and it's like, what are we even talking about anymore? And like, I never thought I would agree with PC cultures too much. Fuck you, just because you can't say the N word anymore. Get over it. But like, granted, those people still exist, and I think that's terrible. But like, ever since Trump has been elected, and it's been full force of like, you're not being respectful because you're not saying the right word. I'm just like, I just cannot have these conversations anymore. It feels so like such a waste of time when there's so many more important issues. And I feel as progressive as fuck, right?
Yes, I am too.
I'm sick of wasting my
Well,
time.
you hit the
on
nail.
those things.
That's my point. You hit the nail on the head, and I think that's what so many voters feel. And if you're talking about voters that might be up for grabs, you know, these new young
Hello, ding ding ding, 2 millennials right here.
well, and it's the point of like, you know, these are the years, and actually probably a little younger than us. We are getting old, but still around our age. It's just like we talked about. Like you probably deal with this in marketing. We talked about this when I was in college in marketing classes, right? The reason Budweiser is marketing to young kids is because if you drink Budweiser in college, you drink Budweiser your whole life. You're a Bud guy. That's how you identify.
Mhm.
And so you want to get these voters young so they're like, I'm a Democrat and I'm proud of it and I'll carry that. I'm a Republican, I'm proud of it. I carry that. Like it becomes part of my identity. I'm a Bud drinking, Chevy driving Democrat. You know, I'm a Miller drinking, Nissan driving Republican, whatever it is. And so I just think like, yeah, I think what you said, it's I care, but there's bigger issues. I think that's what's angering a lot of young liberals. It's like, yeah, I care.
Not that those issues aren't big and your life is not important. They are just huge things.
But look at like a president.
Or just that even though those are huge things, the discussion, the line of topic conversation that we're going down is like so distracting when over here there is the real conversation that we need to be
But
had.
here's
This
the point.
is the battle we need to be in.
But here's the point. Obama's presidency.
On the same road.
But Obama's presidency is thought of as like a liberal victory, right? We got Obama in. We got our black president. He gave us health care. But my point is, look at that president. Look at his runs of presidency. He talked about fixing the Bush economy. He talked about getting us out of war. He talked about giving us health care. He didn't come around. Remember, he had that famous thing in his second term about, wasn't it in his second term where he's like, I've evolved on my thoughts about gay marriage. And then soon after that, like gay marriage, like.
Oh, that was the Supreme Court. But yeah.
I know it was the Supreme Court, but my point was it was probably motivated by the president coming out very publicly about it. So my point is I just feel like today we would have like lost Obama presidency because he would have had to spend his whole time talking about how much he was going to.
Well, that's, I mean,
that's
why we didn't, you even called out Hillary Clinton because you said she changed her mind about gay marriage, and you said that was an indication that she wasn't progressive.
Oh, I mean, but she's not progressive, but that's besides the point. Like, she also didn't talk about she didn't talk about anything. She talked about how Trump was bad and threw out horrible diss tracks. Basket of deplorables. Got him.
That just really was the worst dig.
So
I know.
So bad.
But hey, speaking of Clinton,
well, let me just finish real quick. The last thing I was going to say is my point is, you see what happens is when a Democrat about ending war, talks about the environment, talks about the economy, talks about making the country profitable and better for the average citizen, he wins. He wins handily twice in a row. And while he's in there, because he is a Democrat, you'll get gay marriage too. You might have to wait a term, and it might not be first.
I got free birth control.
Right. But did he ever promise that?
No.
Did he ever run on it? Did he ever make big speeches about it?
It was big picture healthcare, right?
And because he's a
quality of coverage.
And because he's a Democrat running for healthcare, you know when it gets into the mini battles, you know what side he'll be on. Yeah. So that's my point, is like we spend so much time being like, talk for 2 hours about what bathroom we can use, and you just want to be like, you dumb cunts.
No,
like,
I do not want to be like that.
If you can, no one cares about bathrooms, one way or the other. You realize only 10% of the people, not only do only 10% of people really care that you have a bathroom to go in, no matter what gender you are, only 10% of the country really wants to keep you out of the bathroom you want to be in. The other 80% are like, I'm so poor and hungry, and oil companies are taking over my country. And that's my point, is if you have a candidate that goes, hey, I'm going to keep those oil companies from taking over the country, most people will be like, fucking finally. And because you should be letting Democrats do that kind of speech. You get them into office, and then after 3 years, they go, hey, you know what? I stopped the oil companies. I got a little bit of spare time. Guess what, trans people? You pee wherever you want now. Wasn't that worth fucking not leading every goddamn speech with that? Wasn't that worth it? I think all trans people would be like, yeah, it is. So that's my point. I think that's why, again, fucking the gay rights movement, best movement since the black civil rights movement. They did everything right. And that's why they never were fucking just aggressive, like that level of aggressive about their shit. They were always like just supporting Democrats because
Mm.
they knew as long as we keep supporting these Democrats and just doing our parades and keeping it in the zeitgeist, right? That we need our rights, and this is the specific
And that
right
it's
we want.
unfair.
We don't
Yeah.
want these little tingy rights. We want gay marriage. This is is a big thing. It's a big equality symbol,
Yeah.
and that's going to
Domestic
make
partner
everything.
benefits is not going to make it.
Yes,
This is
and
not
that's
the
why they were
final
so they
finish
were like,
line.
and this
We
is also
are.
not only is it a big thing, not only is it a thing that's a major inequality, but it's a thing that we will not budge on.
Will not settle.
We will not settle.
We'll take
But
this as a win for now, but like we're
but
pushing
also
for a gay
when you're talking about healthcare, when you're talking about income equality, when you're talking about all these other democratic issues, we're quiet and we're voting for you. We're showing up at the polls with a little rainbow flag pin, letting the message be known, but we're not making a stink. And they just played their role, not their role in society, their role in the Democratic Party, and their role in the democratic process. And look what happened. They just, and then when it was time to sue, they got their lawyers, they got their fundraising together, and they made a big push. They waited for their opening like a good running back. They were like, there's the hole, bam, hit it. And fucking genius. It's genius shit. And now it's every fucking state that you wouldn't want to live in if you're trans anyways makes one bathroom bill in one county, and it's like, this is what the presidency's about now. And it's like, you took the fucking bait. You took the bait.
What I was going to add is that I think that, well, speaking of the Clintons, one thing I do think that we should learn from Trump winning that is not to be discredited is I think this is just a monster of a lie. And Republicans took the bait as far as his authenticity, and he's just saying it like it is, right? But there's some truth to that, that we're all fucking sick of politics. We're all sick of being lied to and being told, learning 30 years down the road that, like, a president didn't end the Vietnam War so that he could be elected president. Like, we're just tired of being fucking lied to and tricked.
That shit's crazy.
Shit is crazy. Oh my God.
Watch that Ken Burns Vietnam doc.
Nixon, you animal.
Nixon is a treasonist.
Treasonist. But we're sick of that on all sides, and that's something I think we can all relate to, right? And what they said about, I mean, I don't think these people were gonna vote for Hillary anyway, but they didn't believe her. They didn't believe. #believe her. They didn't feel.
And you shouldn't have.
They didn't. They found her cold, which long story that we can't get into, but there's some sexism rooted in that. But here's what the problem is that I think Democrats, how there was totally this shield of like, well, he's Obama and he's our guy, so he can do no wrong. Learning to question the people we do have in power, right? So questioning him, and then I think like it's kind of relating it back to topic 2 and sexual assault, like talking about Bill Clinton and how, looking at you, Bill, like his abuse of power was very clear and destructive, and he got away with it, and culturally too, because Hillary Clinton, that she does not have to answer for her husband's sins, but as a Democratic Party, where do we excuse drone bombings by Obama, even though he said he's going to end the war, or Bill Clinton?
Oh, I'm not saying he's a. I'm not saying Obama. I have a lot of beef with Obama's presidency. I'm just saying if you're a liberal, you got to be like, by president standards, because they're all fucking bunch of dirtbag criminals. By president standards, Obama was decent. And if you want at least that level of leadership, because that's about all you're going to get out of a two-party system, you should have them focus on things that are economy-based, that are environment-based, and that are peace-based. Maybe even in that order. Maybe peace above
economy,
environment.
Environment, peace.
And you
well,
will,
peace
you
and
will,
economy will be tied
you
together.
will
Like
win,
you said, those billions of dollars we're pumping into.
But my point is, you will win year after
militaristic
year
infrastructure.
after year. And while you're winning, you will get little fringe civil right movements in year after year
Can I
too.
tell you-
You'll just have to wait for it, But my point is, if you decide, well, I'm now waiting for it. Okay, well, you'll never get it then.
Here's what I'm gonna vote on in 2020. Shout out! I would love to see this. A bromance, like Obama and Joe Biden.
Okay.
I miss that. I miss that most.
Well, it looks
Other
like the
than my
Democratic Party
ending
is
free
doomed.
birth control, I would like a bromance. If you can marketing pitch that to me in the next election, I'm sold.
All right, give us topic 3.
All right, so topic 3, my computer died, but our energy secretary, Rick Perry,
Whoop whoop.
I forget which country he visited, but he came back and he posted something on one of his accounts about how using fossil fuels, he learned that using fossil fuels will help eliminate and reduce sexual assault, which turned into a big punchline because it's like, oh, great, Rick Perry, our energy secretary, religious psycho, has solved the end of sexual assault. You just got to keep the lights on, you idiots. Just keep the lights on and you won't.
That's why we always have the lights on in the
Now,
studio.
to be fair, like,
These lights go off, I get touchy.
because he gets touchy and so.
And I just whisper in your ear, you can't see me.
Can I masturbate in front of you? To be fair to him, listen, I do like, though, okay, I feel like media is starting to like see their own, not fake news necessarily, but like calling themselves out as far as where stories are being based. Like, I listen to the NPR weekly politics podcast. They're so great. And they were talking about how, oh, there was some video that went viral of Trump doing something stupid in a koi pond when he was visiting Japan.
More specific.
Well, there you go. So he was
That's
in
still
Japan.
not
And
specific
I don't
enough.
remember. It's just basically he did. I forget. He like kept feeding the koi, or so he was doing something stupid. And like this video made the rounds. Like, this fucking idiot. Look at him embarrassing America in Japan. And you know, the NPR correspondents were like, well, you know, like he was following the lead of the Japanese minister, or I don't remember what figurehead he was with, but he was trying to like be culturally respective and just kind of repeat what his host had done. So it was like, yeah, you're totally, I mean, this is why he fucking says fake news, is because you totally change a situation where like there was a
Because he's right. He's just the worst messenger of a
and
quality
it's
message.
the worst messenger, and
Also,
it hides, it just distracts you from his real bullshit, right? That's what's so maddening about it. And then there was another one today about how like Harry Prince, I almost said Harry Potter, but Prince Harry Potter, the redhead,
One of you guys.
he put us beautiful gingers. He put his hand on his stomach when he was standing beside Melania in a photo, and like he had his two middle fingers in his coat, so it looked like he was doing the devil horns, and people were like, he's warding off the devil. It was like a story, and like another media publication was like, hey, listen, we got like fucking body language experts, and the body language are like, no, it doesn't mean anything. People, you know, sometimes people put their hands on their stomach when they're like nervous, like that's sort of a reaction to being in like sort of, you know, kind of protecting your core, like you don't feel safe. But then they showed a picture of him doing that around Michelle Obama. And it basically was like proving like all of this is bullshit. Like, you're just like manipulating any story. So that's promising.
I don't know how you're so.
So what I'm bringing this back around to is
But
that
my point is, I don't know how you so vehemently defended the media in topic 1, and now you realize that they're just a bunch of snake oil salesmen.
No, this is me defending the media again, because there are good outlets out there that are trying to prove themselves. Like, no, you guys.
And they will be solvent in the next 3 to 4 years.
I am not gonna get into that with you, because I will defend the media till I die. But okay, so to be fair,
it's just funny because the only reason we think the media is this like fourth estate is because of marketing by the media. It's just such a big stroke fest over there. I just look at their history. I'm like, there's so much garbage in your history.
That's not true.
I just don't know when you think you like cross this barrier to like the truth sayers of the world and like the fact checkers and the checks on power. It's like you're quite often bought off and willing to print stuff to garner more money.
When it's done right, Justin, it breaks. I mean, did you not watch Spotlight? How do you think that sex abuse scandal was even reported on and uncovered? It was the media.
Yeah, they did their job. I just don't think they're the fucking fourth estate. And I think that it's like everything else. It's like, why is Harvey Weinstein allowed to jerk off in front of women for fucking 20 years? Because of his power and the kind of
sacred cow.
The hero worship, right? You always bring up hero worship, right? And that's why football players in small towns in high school get away with shit. That's why movie producers get away with shit. That's why priests get away with pooning kids, because it's hero worship. And that's my whole point. That's my problem with the media. Yeah, sure, you can pick out some good journalists, and you can pick out some bad journalists, and you can pick a bunch in the middle who just like, I don't know, it seemed like a job I could do, bruh. Just like any other field. But the fact is, it's this hero worship, you know?
I don't
Like,
think I'm hero worshipping
but
them.
it's them doing it. Like Washington Post, don't they have that like at the top of their goddamn website, every fucking page? It's like, democracy dies in the darkness. We are the light.
I
That's
think
what they're
New
saying.
York Times.
Whatever, but they don't say we are the light, but that's what they're like. There should be a fucking dot dot dot. Like we are the light.
Truth dies in the darkness. It's New York Times.
Yeah, and it's like, okay,
It's a good campaign.
but also like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Okay. Anyway, so what?
That's my point. It's like if you have facts, I'll take the facts. If you're full of shit, I'll say the shit. But get off your own cock.
I'm on the media's cock, and it is solid as a rock.
Dude, this faux play's gonna close. We gotta get through this. This is supposed to be the fun topic. You're
I
taking
know
us.
you took us there.
You took us there. Take us to the
well,
fun part.
if you didn't interrupt me, what I was gonna say.
Yeah, this is my fault.
It
Talk
is
for
your fault. You just
10
fucking
hours about the fucking
feared
media.
The media. He was that quote taken out of context makes him sound like a total idiot, which I'm not denying he is or isn't. But it was in the country that they were in, and he was basically he was talking about how, you know, through his
This is Rick Perry.
Right, through his tour, you know, they gave him lots of ideas about how in their country what could help prevent sexual assault, right? But just in the context of America, it's like, you fucking idiot. It just felt like he was trying to sell you fossil fuels.
Right.
Hashtag energy secretary.
It just was convenient that of everything he heard, the guy who's in charge of fossil fuels was like, sounds like fossil fuels.
Hey, fossil fuel sexual assault, big hot topic.
Seems like my department's probably the most important department. No big deal.
So my question was, what do you look forward to seeing sold as a solution for social
in this
problems?
fucking crazy fucking dog shit world we live in, you don't even have to hypothesize. I went back to a real thing that I remember. I used to have a joke about it. I think it's like on one of my albums. I think it's on my first album. It's like a bonus track. But it doesn't matter. But the point is like, it was the idea after, I just remember, I can't remember what shooting it was. It might have been like Newtown, because they needed like a big campaign for guns after that. That was a tough tough little kid hill to hop over. But they're the guns, so they made it. There's no hill. I don't care if you stack little kids 50 high. They'll get over that hill. They'll climb.
We're the NRA.
They'll climb those little bodies. They'll climb over them. We're guns. You can't stop us. But I think it was after that, or it was after one of the ones, you know, maybe like 5-6 years ago, and there was this big push to get women armed, and that was the big thing. It was like, gotta protect yourself. If you're a woman, gotta protect, and that was like their whole thing. It was like, let's not make society safer. Let's just get women armed, and let's put the onus on you murdering someone in cold blood to protect your body from threat. And I was just like, God, Jesus. And they were like, yeah, look at it. We're selling pink guns. They got like pink assault rifles and shit like that. You know that. It's not, again, this isn't satire. This isn't like we have to say too often. This isn't an Onion headline. There's real pink guns, and they're really trying to sell guns to women as self-protection, and it's crazy. But the joke I made, why it's more even fucking crazy town than you think, is that rape is not a capital crime. So you can't be put in jail for committing a rape. Like if you get caught committing a rape and you get convicted, you can't be killed. It's not a capital crime. But if someone's raping you, well, you got a gun, you could shoot them. That's self-defense. So you can
kill them.
My point is, in America,
you won't get
you are rewarded for successfully completing a rape. Because if you're raping, you could be killed.
What?
If you're raping, you can be killed.
Okay.
That's self-defense. Once you've raped and you just get caught by the police, you can't be killed anymore.
I get it.
So you're rewarded in America. That's what these gun manufacturers are pretty much highlighting. Hey, you're not going to be able to get justice afterwards. So why don't you buy a gun, get justice while it's happening? That's your only shot in this country. Isn't it great? Second Amendment, the only one that matters. It's better than the First Amendment. That's why it's a number higher. Sounds like two's
That's
bigger than
all.
one. Sounds like it's more important to me.
Just spinning.
I don't know.
it.
That's just math. I don't know. I'm pretty
spinning
good
it.
at it. I don't know if you libtards ever took math in school, but two's always been bigger than one. Sounds like you'd need
Well,
two free.
out here in the hard knocks life, instead of your big college fancy education,
You-
we learn math.
Yeah, you latte sipping liberals. You don't realize that one free speech plus one free speech equals one freedom to bear arms.
2 guns. That's funny. Good pick.
All right. Do you have anything else to say?
Well, I gotta give my answer.
All right. I thought it was the Rick Perry one. You got another one?
No, that was just
Oh,
the
that was
story.
the story.
lead-in.
Gotcha. My
Jeez.
fault. My fault.
Mine,
I got faux brain.
mine was just that to help sell the coal mines, they'll say that if you send all the white men to work those long hours in the coal mines, they can't be at the white supremacist rallies.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
All right, you guys, check us out at lowclass.com, lo-class.com. You can find lots of my stuff that's on the RSS feed. You can also go to JackieManty.com to see my blog, and my other writing projects are up there. If you got Twitter, give me a follow at Jackie_Manty, and you can email me those. Give me your ginger tid pics.
Ooh.
All of them. I love
Bright
gingers,
pink
and
nipples.
redheads are the best ever. So, Jackie at JackieManty.com. Justin Golak.
JustinGolak.com, at Justin Golak on Twitter, Justin at JustinGolak.com. Email, send me them dit pics with them big orange bushes.
All right, and we're gonna
Looks
go
like
get
a
some pho.
rocket taking off.
Okay,
You get it?
I get it. That's funny. Little fumes of smoke. All right,
But
you
like
guys.
the flame. No.
Yeah, I get it. The flames. Yeah,
That's good.
I get it.
FemComPod.com,
FemComPod.com.
lo-class.com,
lo-class.com.
patreon.com/LOClass.
No
dash.
All right,
Dollar. Free
Dollar-
bonus
dollar
episode.
Bonus episode.
Coming up this
More
month.
of this good stuff for you.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, have a good week, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.